Chapter 1460. Hong Jin, you traitor. Zi Jing was tied to a chair. Shi Shang dragged a chair and sat opposite him. What traitor? Speak clearly. You don't know what you've done? Zi Jing was agitated. Do you know how many of our brothers have died? How can you be so heartless? We grew up together. Shi Shang rested his elbows on the back of the chair and supported his chin. His expression didn't change at all. If I knew what I've done, why would I ask you? You really don't know. Zi Jing calmed down a little. As you said, if I'm really a traitor, I should kill you now. Zi Jing's expression changed. He said angrily, Do you think I'll believe you? Hong Jin, I've misjudged you all these years. Shi Shang. Zi Jing cursed for half a night, but Shi Shang didn't get anything out of him. In the end, he had to use force. According to Zi Jing's description, Hong Jin shouldn't have left the capital. However, she went missing for no reason. After that, they were attacked and many people died. Those people were very familiar with their fighting habits. They even knew who was good at using what weapons. After that, they found Hong Jin's keepsake when they were cleaning up the corpses. After that, they found Hong Jin several times. They couldn't contact Hong Jin. They couldn't help but believe that Hong Jin betrayed them. However, the original owner had received orders to assassinate the 9th prince. So, this was a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain in order to frame her. Shi Shang pondered for a moment. He looked at Zi Jing, who was still in a daze, and asked, Did you find out who Hong Jin is in contact with? Zi Jing struggled for a moment. He said stiffly, The 9th prince, Yen Luan. Shi Shang. The 9th prince thought that the 7th prince wanted to kill her. However, the 7th prince had found out that Hong Jin was related to the 9th prince. Hence, he wanted the 7th prince and the 9th prince to kill each other. Who would benefit the most from this? The emperor had many sons. All of them wanted to be the crown prince. However, there was only one position. Hence, they wanted to get rid of the person who had the highest chance of becoming the crown prince. The 7th prince was the most favored. These people wanted to get rid of him. Hence, anyone could do it. Betrayal. No matter how he looked at it, it seemed like an exam question. Shi Shang decided to return to the 7th prince's estate to see if the 7th prince was her family's retarded Feng Ci. Early the next morning, Shi Shang carried Zi Jing, who was still breathing, and went to knock on the door of the 7th prince's mansion. Men of sacrifice were usually not allowed to see the light of day. The guards did not recognize them, so naturally, they would not let them pass. Before Shi Shang could roll up his sleeves, 2 people came out. Their gazes swept past Zi Jing and fixed on Shi Shang. Their expressions turned solemn. The taller man said in a low voice, Hong Jin, what are you trying to do? Shi Shang threw the Chinese redbud back with a nonchalant look on his face. I'll make 2 things clear. First, I didn't betray you. Secondly, I'm not here to fight. I want to see your highness. The 2 of them quickly helped Zi Jing up and asked the guards to bring her in. The evidence is right in front of us. You still want to deny it? The man's eyes were burning with anger. His highness has treated you well. Why did you betray him? Shi Shang took a deep breath. It was nonsense to explain to these people. She raised her eyebrows slightly. Fine. Let me see the 7th prince and I'll tell you something. How can a traitor like you see his highness so casually? The 2 men drew their weapons at the same time. Hong Jin, I advise you to surrender. Shi Shang. I'm really visiting in a friendly manner. They were the ones who started it. It has nothing to do with me. You're obviously very excited. Shi Shang fought his way in. The 7th prince's mansion was already in chaos early in the morning, but Shi Shang could not find the 7th prince anywhere. Shi Shang casually pulled a servant over. Where's his highness? The servant trembled like a sieve. His highness. His highness didn't come back yesterday. We don't know where he went. Shi Shang asked several people one after another, but they all gave the same answer. His Highness would disappear for a day or two from time to time. He would only come back when he had enough fun outside. The only people who knew his whereabouts were his bodyguards. He's not here. Shi Shang had turned the residence into a mess. The two people who had tried to stop her at the start had somehow managed to get a squad of archers to surround her. Shoot! Shi Shang waved a wave of sword energy in the direction of the archers. The archers were sent flying by the sword energy and their formation was disrupted. Shi Shang took the opportunity to rush to the wall. She flipped over and jumped down. When she jumped out, she realized that there was a lake outside and a few strange animals were swimming in the lake. Damn it! Which idiot was building a lake outside the wall? Just as she was about to fall into the water, the iron sword caught her and quickly flew up. A strange creature crawling on the ground poked its head out. Its eyes were glowing green and it opened its mouth wide to look at its delicious meal. The creature was dark green in color. Its back was covered with cone-shaped teeth. Its mouth was wide open, revealing its sharp teeth. Crocodile. Damn it! Was she in a zoo this time? First it was a shark, now it was a crocodile. Was there going to be a whale next? Shi Shang quickly jumped across the lake and disappeared behind the layers of walls before the people on the other side could catch up. The next day, before Shi Shang had time to find the seventh prince, he suddenly heard from the people that the seventh prince had gone on an inspection tour of the northwest region on behalf of His Majesty and would not come back until spring next year. Shi Shang. EXM. What the hell was he doing on an inspection tour in the middle of winter? What a monster! The seventh prince's men were chasing after her with all their might. By the time she chased after them, the seventh prince's men had already disappeared. Even if she knew the general direction, there were many routes and no one knew which one they had taken. In the middle of winter, Shi Shang did not want to sit on his sword and drink the northwest wind. So he gave up chasing after them and waited in the capital for them to come back. The seventh prince's men did not give up. After being taught a few lessons by Shi Shang, they finally calmed down. Shi Shang was not afraid of being discovered at all. Those people probably felt that something was wrong and could not make up their minds for the time being, so they decided to keep an eye on her. Shi Shang was either wandering on the streets or wasting his time in the inn every day. The people who were keeping an eye on him all thought that he was very boring. Hey! The girl's pretty face appeared in the man's line of sight. The corner of his mouth twitched and he said angrily, "What are you doing? Why are you so fierce? I haven't even gotten angry at you for spying on me." The girl was wrapped in a black fox fur coat and had a teasing look on her face. Previously, she was wearing white. Later on, he did not know where she got her hands on a black outfit. She looked luxurious and noble. She was completely different from the Hong Jin he knew. But she was very annoying. Zi Jing was furious. "Are you done? Hong Jin, what are you trying to do?" She had been doing nothing for such a long time. What was the use of them spying on her all day? She knew that they were spying on her. No matter where she hid, she would know. Waiting for His Highness to come back. Shi Shang had an honest look on his face. When is His Highness coming back? How would I know? Chapter 1461. Shi Shang didn't seem to want to talk to him anymore. She walked to the stall next to her and bought a roasted sweet potato. She held the roasted sweet potato with both hands. Her fox fur coat spread out and formed a beautiful arc as she walked. Occasionally, there was a kind of arrogant and noble aura around her. For example, right now, she was just casually walking in front, but the scene around her seemed to be frozen. Only the woman walking in front of him was left. Zi Jing shook off those strange thoughts and followed behind her sullenly. Let's not talk about whether or not she betrayed her master. Just her strange martial strength alone was worth investigating. All the masters in the residence had fought with her, but no one could beat her. Especially when she used a sword, it was simply a one-sided abuse. Shi Shang finished eating the sweet potato and walked to the clinic. She came to the clinic every few days. The doctor said that she had an injury on her back, so she came to change the dressing. But after such a long time, The injury should have healed by now, right? Shi Shang went in for a long time and didn't come out. Zi Jing was a little impatient waiting outside. The weather was cold. In the end, he gritted his teeth, lifted the curtain of the clinic, and went in. Anyway, she knew that he was following her. What was there to be afraid of? The smell of medicine in the clinic was very strong. When Zi Jing went in, he saw the woman sitting opposite the doctor. She was wearing a fox fur coat and leaning casually against the back of the chair. Her eyes were lowered and her black hair snaked down, blocking most of her face and revealing her small chin. She was not a death warrior. She was more delicate and elegant than the concubines in the palace. The doctor was grinding the herbs while talking to Shi Shang. Hearing the movement by the door, the doctor looked up and nodded politely, but didn't greet him. The doctor knew that he was following her. After grinding the herbs, the doctor put them into a porcelain bottle and handed it to the waiting female doctor. The female doctor gestured for Shi Shang to go inside. Shi Shang stood up and walked in while pulling off the fox fur coat. Zi Jing waited for her to go in. He frowned and asked, "Doctor, what is her injury? Why hasn't it healed yet?" The doctor touched his beard and shook his head with a sigh. "I don't know. Her injury is very strange. It was almost healed, but it split open again the next day. And that girl doesn't feel any other discomfort." After the doctor finished speaking, he packed up his things and left. Zi Jing stood outside and frowned. He had grown up with Hong Jin, and they had gone through many bloody battles together. When he first found out that Hong Jin was a traitor, he did not believe it. But so many of his brothers had died, and they had grown up with him. Later, when he found out that she was related to the 9th prince, he was furious, but it was useless. He only wanted to take revenge. But when he really went to take revenge, he actually didn't kill her. He also wanted to ask her why she betrayed them. She betrayed the oath they had once sworn to be loyal to their master forever and to live and die together. What happened next was beyond his expectations. Even now, she was swaggering around the capital as if nothing had happened. He really couldn't understand why she was doing this. Shi Shang came out after a while. She lowered her eyes and walked past him. There was a faint smell of medicine on her body. It was a little bitter. "Hong Jin, how did you get injured?" Zi Jing chased after Shi Shang. "Why can't you recover?" Shi Shang went out and the cold wind swept over her. She hugged her fox fur coat tightly and her voice was a little broken by the cold wind. "I also want to know." The medicine she had brought was useless for this wound, and the doctor also couldn't tell what had happened. Now she suspected that it was a goo. If it was really a goo, she couldn't tell who had put it in her for the time being. The original owner had lost too much of her memory. "You don't even know how you got injured?" Zi Jing continued to ask. "I was attacked by the 9th prince's men." "The 9th prince?" Zi Jing rushed in front of her. "Why did the 9th prince's men attack you?" "Probably because I'm more good-looking." Zi Jing. Shi Shang had nothing to do all day. If she was not listening to stories in the tea house, she would be alone in the inn. Occasionally, she would go to the medical hall to change her dressing. It was as if she was really waiting for the 7th prince to come back. The spring snow melted and the trees around the street began to sprout. Tender green leaves grew and shook in the breeze. Yesterday, they were still small shoots, but today, they had grown a lot. In the blink of an eye, the trees were green. "Ah, miss, you're here?" As soon as Shi Shang stepped into the tea house, the waiter came to greet him. Shi Shang nodded slightly. "Why is it so quiet today?" "Today, the 9th prince's wedding procession is coming to the capital. Everyone went to watch the fun. I'm afraid that you won't be able to listen to stories today," the waiter explained. Yen Wan was back? After such a long time, she should be back. Recently, she had been investigating the original owner and the Ghost Smoke City, so she didn't pay much attention to this place. The Xia kingdom was famous for its talents. The beautiful Princess Ning Huan married into the Yen kingdom. The people were very curious and had already occupied the best seats to watch the procession. The army stood on both sides of the street to prevent people from blocking the way. As for the royal family, they were already waiting outside the city. Shi Shang came late, so he could only stand outside. When it was almost noon, Shi Shang saw the people from the seventh prince's palace hurriedly coming from the street. It seemed that they were going to leave the city. The army stopped them and the two sides argued. In the end, the army let them out of the city, but most of the soldiers were a little angry. When the seventh prince was favored, everyone in his mansion also became arrogant. Not long after the people from the seventh prince's palace left, a large procession came in. "They're here, they're here. They're here. Can we see Princess Ning Huan? What's the rush? Princess Ning Huan's carriage hasn't come in yet." The people stretched their necks to look at the city gate. The procession in front was very long. They didn't know where Yen Luan had borrowed so many soldiers from the Yen kingdom to escort her. The first to enter the city was Yen Luan. She rode a horse and followed the procession slowly. The people knelt down to greet her. The princes weren't as scary as the emperor. Most of the people still dared to look. The fiery red procession followed Yen Luan in. There were red veils hanging all around. When the procession swayed, the veils fluttered. The figures inside were partly visible, but they could only be seen as silhouettes. Yen Luan scanned the crowd. Her gaze came into contact with a black figure, and her body suddenly tensed up. Shi Shang was wearing a black brocade robe. Everyone was kneeling beside him, except for her. It was impossible not to be conspicuous. Shi Shang stretched out his hand and waved at Yen Luan in a friendly manner. Yen Luan gritted her teeth. This woman. She suppressed the anger in her heart and looked forward. She couldn't have a conflict with her on the street. Princess Ning Huan's carriage had just passed the city gate when there was a sudden commotion behind. Yen Luan reined in the horse and asked the person beside her, "What's going on?" Someone came from behind. "Your Highness, the seventh prince's carriage is behind us. They asked to enter the city first and asked us to give way." Chapter 1462. The seventh prince had been patrolling the northwest for His Majesty. When he returned to the capital, he would clash with the ninth prince's political marriage procession. Everyone knew that the seventh prince was used to being overbearing. If he was not allowed to enter the city first, he would probably cause a ruckus. But if he was allowed to enter the city first, wouldn't it be embarrassing for Xia? Even if the princess was here for a political marriage, she was still a princess of a country. Let the seventh prince's people go through the noon gate. Yen Luan said in a low voice, "Tell the seventh prince that this is a political marriage procession, not my people." "Yes." The person went to pass the message but soon returned with an ugly expression. The seventh prince said that if they are not allowed to enter the city first, no one can enter. Just as the man finished speaking, a few people on horseback came up to them and blocked their way. Yen Luan frowned and turned around to head out of the city. When she passed by Princess Ning Huan's carriage, she bent down and said something to the person inside. She lifted the veil and revealed the side profile of the person inside. There is a beauty in the north, peerless and independent. A glance could topple a city, a second glance could topple a country. What was a beauty that could topple a city? This was a true beauty that could topple a city. Just a side profile was enough to make people stunned. This person was obviously different from the one Shi Shang saw before. As for whether he was a man or not, it was hard to say. His appearance was too foul. Moreover, only half of his face was visible. It would be strange if she could tell. The procession stopped here. Yen Luan probably failed to negotiate with the seventh prince and did not return for a long time. The people looked at each other and did not dare to speak loudly. Silence was contagious. Therefore, the scene was very quiet. Just as the people were getting impatient, there was a sudden commotion. At the same time, a few figures rushed out from both sides and went straight to Princess Ning Huan's carriage. "Ah! Murder! Help! Assassins! Protect the princess!" Chaos broke out. The people fled in all directions. More and more people joined the ranks of the assassins. These people were obviously prepared. Everyone had the same target, Princess Ning Huan in the carriage. The assassins surrounded Princess Ning Huan. The guards around the carriage fell down one after another. It was a tragic scene. The commoners scattered and fled. The scene was chaotic. However, amidst the chaos, Shi Shang remained where he was, munching on sunflower seeds and watching the show. In the end, he even found a more convenient spot to watch the show. Whoosh! A flying dagger came out of nowhere and brushed past Shi Shang's side. Then came the second one, and the third one. If it was the first one, it could be said to be an accident, as the assassin's hand slipped. But with so many consecutive attacks, it definitely wasn't an accident. If the assassin dared to slip his hand like this, he would have been killed long ago. Shi Shang quickly dodged the flying daggers. He grabbed onto a nearby building and leaped onto the roof in a few steps. Without any explanation, he pulled out his sword. Standing on a high ground, the scene below was clear at a glance. Shi Shang looked in the direction where the flying dagger came from. He could vaguely see someone hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to make a move. Shi Shang narrowed her eyes. These people were here to assassinate her. F***ck. A cannon fodder, also received such treatment. It was really great. Shi Shang swung his sword without hesitation. The sword chi passed through the middle of the street and hit the building on the opposite side. Boom! The building was unable to resist the sword chi. It was smashed into pieces and fell from the sky like a fairy scattering flowers. The people hiding behind the building were not able to dodge in time and were seriously injured by the sword chi. Shi Shang jumped over from the roof. For some reason, the fighting below stopped and everyone looked at him. Although they didn't notice when he swung his sword, when the sword chi swept across the street and hit the opposite side, they felt a terrifying force. It was a force that made people's hair stand on end from the bottom of their hearts. Shi Shang had already crossed the street and stood in front of the injured attackers. He stepped on one of the attacker's chest and bent down slightly. He placed his hand on his knee. "Do you want to die by yourself or do you want me to do it?" The attacker. Didn't she ask who sent them? This didn't match up with normal words. "Looks like you want me to do it." The attacker did not answer. Shi Shang continued with a look of disdain. "You've really dirted my sword." The attacker, the iron sword, it did not feel that its master's words were trustworthy. It was a sword that had chopped houses, smashed eggs, dug soil, roasted fish, and stolen steamed buns. Killing people was really not dirtying it. Shi Shang stabbed the attackers to death as if she was stabbing radishes. Her movements were smooth and fluid. It was as if she was really stabbing radishes. After stabbing a group of radishes to death, Shi Shang began to search the bodies. Some idiots liked to carry tokens with them when they were assassins. Maybe she had met a group of idiots? Humans should always have hope in their hearts. Obviously, this group of people was not an idiot. They did not have anything to prove their identity. In other words, they did not have anything on them except for the clothes they were wearing. There were always idiots who wanted to harm her. She was scared. Shi Shang looked at the sky in melancholy. When she turned around, she saw that the group of people had stopped fighting and were all staring at her strangely. Shi Shang blinked. "Why are you looking at me? I'm not going to help you fight. It's very expensive to hire me. You can't afford it." Everyone, was this person here to make fun of them? Shi Shang saw that they were not going to make a move. He waved his hand casually. "I'm just watching. You can start the show." Everyone. Damn, where did this arrogant woman come from? Shi Shang really found a place to squat. He casually inserted the iron sword into the ground and took out some sunflower seeds to eat. The group of people looked at each other for a moment and then attacked at the same time. Swords flashed, blood and flesh flew, and screams gradually sounded. In the carriage, Princess Ning Huan stared at the woman in black through the red veil. What an arrogant woman! She had never heard of such a powerful and arrogant person in the Yen Kingdom. The sound of neat footsteps and the sound of armor clashing came from afar. Reinforcements had arrived. Seeing the army on the street, the assassins waved their hands and retreated. After the assassins retreated, the army arrived. Yen Luan rode up from behind. The leading general knelt down with hands clasped. "I'm late." Yen Luan's gaze swept over Shi Shang before she lifted a finger and pointed. "Capture her." Shi Shang. How could he be implicated when he was just watching a show? Female lead, you're taking revenge on me. What happened to the kind and cute Holy Mother of White Lotus? You're directly ordering people to catch me. I'm very scared. The soldiers had noticed Shi Shang from the beginning. He was squatting there alone and eating. No matter how they looked at it, they felt strange. But he didn't seem to have any attack power, so they didn't catch him immediately. Now that Yen Luan gave the order, they immediately went forward and surrounded Shi Shang. There is a beauty in the north, unparalleled and independent. With one glance, she could topple a city. With another glance, she could topple a country. From Li Yanyan's, there is a beauty in the north. #today, I'm looking for a smiling and flowery vote. #, it's the weekend. #, vote, 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 vote. Chapter 1463. The soldiers surrounded her but did not attack her. They wanted to attack her, but for some reason, when they got close to her, they felt a chill seeping through their skin and spreading to their entire body. Their limbs instantly became numb. They looked at the woman. She was still squatting with a smile on her face, but they could not feel the slightest warmth from her smile. The chill came from the iron sword beside her. What a good sword! Anyone who was not blind would know that the iron sword was not an ordinary sword. After all, it was only lacking a mark on the sword, which would make it invincible. Such an ostentatious and unrestrained weapon, and such an arrogant disregard for their woman. This combination? Attack! Yen Luan shouted in a deep voice. She tried to assassinate His Highness. Capture her and interrogate her to find out who ordered her to do so. Hey! Wait a minute. Shi Shang raised his hand and gestured for them to stop. It was obvious that this gesture was only used in TV dramas. They did not even care about her. A group of people pounced on her at the same time. Shi Shang pulled out his iron sword with a darkened face. The iron sword drew an arc in the air and connected end to end, forming a complete circle. The soldiers seemed to be frozen in place. Shi Shang withdrew his iron sword and inserted it into the ground, making a soft sound. This sound seemed to have startled the soldiers who were frozen in place, and they all fell limply to the ground. Shi Shang looked melancholy. I told you to wait a minute. Why didn't you listen? Everyone. F***ck. What a homicidal maniac. Yen Luan looked at Shi Shang with an ugly expression. How powerful was she? Or? Yen Luan's gaze fell on the iron sword in Shi Shang's hand. Was it because of the sword's power? Yen Luan gave a look to the person beside her. That person immediately stood up and broke the silence. Hong Jin, you are from the 7th Prince's residence. Why did you try to assassinate His Highness? Everyone was in an uproar. Someone from the 7th Prince's residence. Wasn't that the 7th Prince trying to kill the 9th Prince? The 7th Prince and the 9th Prince had always been on bad terms, but not to this extent. Oh my God, what did they find out today? Shi Shang looked at the man with a faint smile. How do you know I'm from the 7th Prince's mansion? Do I have the words 7th Prince written on my body? You admitted it yourself, yet you still want to quibble. That person shouted angrily. Shi Shang said calmly, when did you admit it? Do you have any evidence? Don't spout nonsense if you don't have evidence. You're framing me. Everyone, someone stood up and said, I heard that the people in the 7th Prince's residence all have tattoos on the back of their necks. You can tell at a glance. Shi Shang looked at the person who spoke. It was the general who had brought reinforcements. Whether or not you're from the 7th Prince's residence, I'll know with one look. Do you think you can look at a girl's body as you please? Are you going to marry me if you see it? Shi Shang rolled his eyes. You're guilty. The general pointed at Shi Shang angrily. Do you know what kind of crime it is to assassinate a prince? I won't show it to you. Hit me. Shi Shang said arrogantly. Yan Luan's eyes darkened. Her already feminine face looked even more feminine at this moment. There was even a hint of hostility that shouldn't appear on the female lead. Hong Jin, do you dare to swear that you didn't assassinate me? Shi Shang sneered. What's wrong with me assassinating you? The general immediately shouted angrily. There was obvious excitement in his eyes. You admit to assassinating the 9th prince. Yan Luan sized up Shi Shang and the general without batting an eyelid. This person should be from another prince. If Hong Jin implicated the 7th prince, it would be a great achievement. That was why he was so excited at this moment. Yan Luan had a rough idea of what was going on. She didn't say anything for the time being. When did I deny it? Shi Shang looked at the general as if he was looking at an idiot. Everyone. What's with that? I did it. I'm proud of my expression. What's there to be proud of? Assassinating a prince was a crime punishable by death. 9 generations of the family would be implicated. The general looked delighted, but he tried his best to suppress it so that no one could see it. He pretended to be furious. Why does the 7th prince want to assassinate the 9th prince? When did I say that the 7th prince wanted to assassinate the 9th prince? Why didn't these people try to hide their flaws? The general's eyes flashed and he raised his voice. You're from the 7th prince's residence. How dare you assassinate the 9th prince without his permission? Why wouldn't I dare? Maybe I was bribed by someone else? Shi Shang started to talk nonsense with a straight face. Everyone, although they felt that she was talking nonsense, why did they feel that it somehow made sense? But who would be so brazen as to say that they were bribed by someone else? Isn't the 7th prince's carriage behind us? Invite the 7th prince over so that we can verify it. Someone shouted. Someone beside Yan Luan said, Your Highness, please invite the 7th prince over. Yan Luan waved her hand and signaled for them to invite the 7th prince over. However, the person who invited the 7th prince came back to report that the 7th prince had also been attacked by an assassin. The 7th prince said that he was frightened and refused to come over. These words seemed to remind everyone that they hadn't caught the assassin yet. Although there was an assassin who didn't look like one. But judging from her performance just now, this woman was obviously not in the same group as those people. With her strength, she could easily wipe them all out. Why would she need an assassin? The assassin had run for a long time and they couldn't catch up with her. The general sent some people to search for her, but his attitude was obviously perfunctory. The 9th prince wasn't favored, so he said so much just now only because the 7th prince was involved. The general continued with his previous question. Is the 7th prince feeling guilty? Is he afraid that we'll expose him, so he doesn't dare to come over? What does Our Highness have to feel guilty about? A man dressed in green walked over from the back of the group. His sharp gaze swept across everyone present. He didn't seem to be respectful, but rather domineering. Your Highness the 9th Prince, General Rong, do you have any questions? He didn't look at Shi Shang, as if he didn't know her. Xianchen, do you know this woman? Is she from your residence? General Rong pointed at Shi Shang. Before Xianchen could speak, Shi Shang spoke first. Even if he knows her, he will say that he doesn't know her. Are you stupid? Everyone, I don't know her. Xianchen still said the same thing. General Rong snorted. Humph, just because you say you don't know her, you don't know her. I heard that everyone in your residence has tattoos. Is that true? Yes. Xianchen said concisely. Where is the tattoo? Behind the neck. Since you don't admit it, then show it to us. Isn't it obvious at a glance? General Rong was determined to see it. For the first time, Xuanchen's gaze landed on Shi Shang. You have to ask for her opinion. Assassinating a prince is a capital offense. Even if you aren't from the 7th Prince's residence, you won't be able to escape. General Rong paused, then said threateningly, I advise you to show it to us yourself. Otherwise, Don't blame us for being rough. Chapter 1464. Why aren't you being polite? Shishang raised her eyebrows. She thought of something and suddenly changed the topic. Fine, I'll show you. Xuanshan's eyes darkened. Shishang lifted her hair and pulled her collar to reveal her neck. She turned around in front of everyone. There was nothing on her fair neck. She really wasn't from the 7th prince's residence. In this day and age, it was difficult to remove a tattoo unless the skin was removed. However, Shishang's neck was fair and smooth. It didn't look like it had been removed. It wasn't that difficult for her to remove a tattoo. Now that you've seen it, let's fight. Shishang rolled up her sleeves and smiled sinisterly. After all, a girl's innocence shouldn't be shown to others, right? Everyone. Why did he suddenly jump to a fight? Did he show it to us just to fight? Shishang held her iron sword and rushed towards General Rong. You want to kill me, right? I'll kill you first. General Rong was just like the rest of the cannon fodder. He didn't expect Shishang to attack so suddenly. His reaction was slow. When the iron sword slashed at him, he dodged it awkwardly. However, his arm was cut open. He pulled out his sword to block Shishang's second attack. The iron sword slashed down, bringing with it a sinister chill. Clang! His sword was cut into two. General Rong's eyes widened in disbelief. How could this be? Seeing that the iron sword was about to fall again, General Rong rolled on the ground and quickly moved towards Yen Wan's team. Yen Wan's face darkened. Go, kill her! General Rong shouted at the soldiers who didn't dare to move forward. You bunch of good-for-nothings, go! Whoever kills her will be promoted by me. Perhaps the promotion attracted these people. They overcame their fear and rushed towards Shishang. In the chaos, the assassin who had just left appeared out of nowhere and attacked again. Shishang got rid of the soldiers around her and looked at an assassin not far away from her. Damn, you guys got lucky. Miss, we're not taking advantage of you. We're helping you, right? The assassin killed a soldier and stopped to talk to the Shishang. There's strength in numbers. What do you think, miss? Are you paying? The assassin was silent for a moment. Miss, if we had the money, we wouldn't have come to this line of work. We're always in danger, and we might lose our lives at any moment. Shishang raised his eyebrows. Isn't there a lot of money to be a killer? The assassin continued, that money is from the organization. Shishang instigated, your organization is not good enough. Why don't you go back and start a rebellion and be the boss yourself? But boss. What are you guys talking about? An assassin rushed over and knocked away a soldier who was about to launch a sneak attack. He roared in exasperation, we are doing business now. If you want to talk, can you talk outside? It's the boss. The assassin finished his sentence. Shishang. It wasn't easy to be the boss. The assassin who rushed in was confused. Damn it, they were fighting, but these two actually stopped to chat. What was there to chat about? Did they know each other? Well, it wasn't really a stop. They could kill people while chatting. It was quite impressive that they could do two things at the same time. We're talking about rebellion. The boss raised his hand and grabbed the soldier who rushed over, flinging him away. Huh? Rebellion? Who were they trying to rebel against? Boss, are you King schizophrenia? Why did you want to kill that Princess Ning Huan? Shishang looked disgusted. And in the city? Are you out of your mind? We took the money to solve the problem. When we received the message, they were about to enter the city. The boss's voice was full of melancholy. Finally, he emphasized, the employer is out of his mind. The assassin was so anxious that he stomped his feet. Boss, stop chatting. Our brothers can't hold on any longer. The boss glanced over, then turned to look at Shishang. His eyes were full of admiration. Hey, miss, you can do it again. He had been in the Jianghu for many years, but he had never seen such a powerful girl. My hands are sore. Shi Shang supported himself with his sword. You guys can fight on your own. The boss. Seeing that his brothers couldn't hold on any longer, the boss quickly moved away from Shi Shang and went to help his men. This boss was quite strong. Hong Jin, come with me. A man's voice sounded behind her. Xian Chan had snuck up behind her and was looking at her with a heavy gaze. Shi Shang glanced at him, then rolled up his sleeves and drew his sword. Wait for me to kill another wave. Xian Chen. He watched helplessly as Shi Shang rushed into the crowd. The howls and screams became louder than before. After Shi Shang finished killing another wave, she returned to Xian Chen's side as if nothing had happened. She tidied her clothes and said, "Let's go." Xian Chen was speechless, but he didn't show it on his face. He turned and led her away. The people on Yen Huan's side were fighting too fiercely and didn't notice them. But Princess Ning Huan, who was in the carriage, noticed them. The fighting outside didn't seem to affect her at all. The Yen Kingdom was really interesting. Xian Chen led her out of the city. The people behind them were very quiet, but they could still see that there was a fight just now. There was a carriage surrounded by people. It was obvious who was inside. Xian Chen led her over. The people around the carriage immediately moved aside. Xian Chen bowed. Your Highness, I've brought her. The carriage didn't move for a long time. Xian Chen waited for a while, then turned to Shi Shang. Her Highness is asleep. Wait here. Shi Shang. Great, there was a fight in front, but she was sleeping in the back. The fighting in the city gradually stopped. The group of assassins escaped from the city gate and disappeared into the forest in the blink of an eye. They should be from the Cool Breeze Hall. Their qinggong is very powerful. Zi Jing appeared out of nowhere. But why did they want to assassinate Her Highness? The assassins aren't from the Cool Breeze Hall. Xian Chen said in a low voice. Oh, so there were two groups of assassins. One group was to assassinate Princess Ning Huan, the other group was to assassinate the seventh prince, and the other group was to assassinate her. But that wasn't important. The seventh prince and Yen Huan coincidentally bumped into each other, which led to the situation just now. Shi Shang was blocked by Xian Chen, so Zi Jing didn't see him. But when he heard Shi Shang's voice, he was shocked. Why are you here? Why can't I be here? Xian Chen, Xian Chen raised a finger, indicating for him to be quiet. Zi Jing immediately lowered his voice. Xian Chen, she just had a conflict with the ninth prince. Isn't she causing trouble for Her Highness by appearing here? No, that wasn't a conflict at all. That was a provocation. Since she came back a few months ago, Zi Jing didn't recognize the person in front of him. Although her face was exactly the same as Hong Jin's, he didn't think she was Hong Jin at all. Chapter 1465. Take a look in front and ask them to make way for us. Xian Chen ignored Zi Jing and instructed someone else. Seeing that Xian Chen didn't reply, Zi Jing didn't dare to probe further. Who's the most likely suspect for this assassination attempt? All of them are suspects. Anyway, they're all the same. It doesn't matter who sent them. Shi Shang. These words were very bold and fearless. Xian Chen. A lazy voice suddenly sounded from inside the carriage. It sounded displeased. Why aren't we back yet? Your Highness, the people in front are still fighting. Shi Shang suddenly reached out to lift the curtain. Xian Chen couldn't stop him in time and the situation inside the carriage was revealed. The man seemed to have just sat up. His clothes were messy and his wide collar revealed his fair skin. His hair was unbound and casually draped over his back. A few strands fell in front of his body. His laziness was vividly displayed. When the curtain was lifted, the light suddenly became stronger. The man narrowed his eyes and a hint of sadness appeared between his brows. However, he didn't lose his handsomeness. After adjusting to the light, the man looked at the lady outside. She had a faint smile on her face and there seemed to be ripples in her eyes. There seemed to be a flash of light in her eyes, as if she had found a fun toy. A folding fan suddenly appeared in Yan Qiu's hand. He stretched it out from the car, lifted Shi Shang's chin and raised it slightly. His tone was casual, no one could tell if he was happy or angry. "You're the one who betrayed me?" Shi Shang grasped his folding fan and looked at him. "No." Yan Qiu frowned and released the handle of his folding fan. He looked up slightly and narrowed his eyes at Shi Shang. "Someone who dares to betray me is very bold." He pulled down the curtain and his lazy voice sounded from inside. "Bring her back." Shi Shang held his folding fan and was dumbfounded. He actually didn't listen to him? Oh my. That was awesome. Shi Shang placed one hand on his waist and opened his folding fan. After a while, he turned to Xianchen and asked, "What's wrong with His Highness?" Xuanchen's face turned cold. "Hongjin, don't forget your identity." Shi Shang waved his folding fan fiercely. "What identity? A traitor?" A clanging sound came from inside the carriage, as if something had fallen to the bottom of the carriage. "Xianchen." Yan Qiu's voice sounded from inside the room. Her languid voice carried a hint of exasperation. "Return to the residence." Shi Shang was speechless. What was wrong with him again? Shi Shang grabbed the car window and said, "Your Highness, I want to talk to you about the traitor." "Let me go in." "Hongjin." Xianchen bellowed. "Don't go against your superiors." Shi Shang rolled his eyes. Not only did she want to offend him, but she also wanted to raise him. Xianchen's face darkened. He stood between the Shi Shang and the carriage. "Hongjin, His Highness' patience is limited. If you dare to offend him again, you'll have to bear the consequences." He gestured to the people in front of him, and the carriage immediately moved forward. At some point, the group in front of him had started moving forward as well. "Am I not a traitor? The consequences are already very serious. I don't care if it gets more serious." Shi Shang waved his folding fan nonchalantly. Xianchen's heart sank. Although he was puzzled, he didn't show it on his face. "It's good that you understand. You still have a chance to atone for your sins." Shi Shang waved his folding fan and looked at the carriage that was gradually moving away. His lips curved into a faint smile. It was hers. It would be hers sooner or later. News of the assassination at the city gate quickly spread among the commoners. The envoys from the Xia kingdom were the first to express their views. They had to give an explanation. Also, the seventh prince had asked them to make way. Was he trying to humiliate the Xia kingdom? His Majesty had a headache and summoned the seventh prince into the palace. It was said that the seventh prince had thrown a huge tantrum. In the end, the emperor sent his trusted aide to apologize to the envoys and Princess Ning Huan. Shi Shang and the envoys returned to the seventh prince's residence and were locked in a courtyard. There were people guarding outside, not allowing her to go out. They only sent her one meal a day. Were they trying to starve her to death? Of course, these people couldn't stop her. But she couldn't find Yan Qiu either. That idiot didn't seem to spend much time in the residence. She didn't seem to be out bullying people. Wait, bullying people? Bullying people? Shi Shang stood up and walked out of the courtyard. The guards outside blocked her with both hands and repeated expressionlessly, "You can't go out." "Are there any women in the residence?" Shi Shang took a step back and asked one of the guards. The guard seemed to despise this question. "Of course there are. What I'm asking is, does the seventh prince have any women?" The guard was suspicious. "Why are you asking this? Don't you know?" Shi Shang raised his voice. "Do you have any women?" An invisible pressure came over. The guard subconsciously said, "His Highness hasn't taken a concubine." "Has he slept with any women?" "No." "His Highness doesn't touch women." "No." If he didn't have any women, then where did the women he dominated go? These people in the capital couldn't be spreading rumors blindly, right? Just as Shi Shang was puzzled, Zi Jing came over with a big food box and stuffed it into her hands. "Hongjin, bring this to His Highness." He's in the west court. The food box was half her height. It was round and heavy enough to fit a person. Sher Shang wasn't prepared and the food box fell to the ground. Dark red seeped out from the bottom of the box, accompanied by the strong smell of blood. Sher Shang, what the hell was this? Answer whatever His Highness asks. You know how scary it is when His Highness is angry. I don't want to collect your corpse. Zi Jing looked sympathetic. Then, his expression turned serious. But if you're really a traitor, I won't be merciful. After saying that, Zi Jing disappeared in a flash. Sher Shang stared at the lunchbox that was half the height of a person. Don't tell me, it's filled with human flesh? Sher Shang reached out and opened the lid of the food box. The smell of blood wafted out. Fortunately, it wasn't human meat. It was a pig that had been cut into pieces and placed in the food box. Where's the West Court? Sher Shang covered the food box and asked the expressionless guard beside him. The guard's mouth twitched and he pointed in a direction. Sher Shang took the food box and headed to the West Court. Xian Chen was waiting at the entrance of the West Court. When he saw her, he opened the door and led her in. The West Court. It was a lake. King Crocodile. There was a small boat at the entrance of the West Court. Xian Chen didn't intend to get on it. He just helped her carry the food box. Hand over your weapons. I don't have any weapons. Your sword. Xian Chen emphasized. I don't have a sword. Sher Shang opened his arms fearlessly. Look at such a big sword. Where can I hide it? Hand it over. Sher Shang. Hey, you stupid child. Sher Shang glanced at the pavilion in the middle of the lake. There was a curtain over there, and he could only vaguely see a golden robe peeking out from behind the pillar. Sher Shang took out the iron sword from behind and stabbed it into the ground. He warned Xian Chen, it's best not to touch it. It has a bad temper. Xian Chen immediately retracted his hand and gestured for him to take the sword. Chapter 1466. Sher Shang jumped onto the boat. She was the only one on the boat. How do we get there? Sher Shang turned to ask Xian Chen. Row over yourself. Xian Chen placed his hands behind his back. Sher Shang pointed at himself. You want me to row? Sher Shang jumped back onto the shore. He grabbed the iron sword and was about to leave. I didn't want to serve him anymore. Xian Chen reached out to stop her. Sher Shang didn't hold back. The two of them exchanged blows on the shore. Xian Chen had only been a spectator and hadn't fought with her personally. Now that he was fighting with her, he knew that this woman was definitely not Hong Jin. He knew Hong Jin's strength very well. Xian Chen questioned in a low voice, his hand swiftly reaching for her face. Who exactly are you? What's your motive? I'm your ancestor. Sher Shang slapped his hand away with his sword. When the sword came into contact with his arm, it was as if his entire arm had been frozen. You want to fight with me? Sher Shang let go of the iron sword. There was a faint smile on his lips. I'll give you 10 moves. You won't be able to defeat me. Xian Chen waved his hand. His gaze landed on the iron sword in her hand. What's your motive? Where is Hong Jin? I'm Hong Jin. You're not. This body is Hong Jin. Sher Shang raised his eyebrows. I'm using her body. It's just that the soul inside isn't hers. Have you heard of reincarnation? Are you afraid? Host, you're still in the mood to scare people? Why not? Sher Shang snorted inwardly. I'm already giving Feng Ci face by not killing him. Why can't I scare him? Besides, I'm speaking the truth. As expected, Xian Chen's expression changed. In modern society, ghosts were already frightening, let alone in ancient times. Xian Chen's body tensed. He stared at Sher Shang warily. You're a ghost? I'm human. Sher Shang rolled his eyes. Look at me. How do I look like a ghost? Is there a ghost as good-looking as me? Xian Chen. Even if it's Hong Jin's body that looks good, what has it got to do with you? Xian Chen's gaze landed on the ground. Her shadow was extremely long, and she could walk under the sunlight. She was indeed a human. What is your purpose? He calmed down in front of Xian Chen. He had heard from Zi Jing that after she returned to the capital, she went to look for Her Highness. After that, she stayed in the capital without doing anything. Shi Shang began to talk nonsense. Yanqiu and I have been together for 3 lifetimes. He is my destined husband. I'm here to marry him. The words were a little exaggerated, but the truth was similar. Xian Chen. Why did it sound more and more like nonsense? Was this woman trying to trick him? Xian Chen. A voice drifted over from the center of the lake. Let her come over. Xian Chen frowned. This woman was extremely strange. If he allowed her to stay with His Highness, there was no telling what would happen. He immediately used his qing gong to talk to the people in the pavilion. After a while, he returned and got on the boat. He held the pole and gestured for Shi Shang to come up. After putting on the pork that reeked of blood, the crocodiles that resided in some unknown place gradually swam over. However, Xuanchen's speed was very fast. Before the crocodiles could completely surround him, the boat was already close to the pavilion. Shi Shang jumped onto the pavilion. Yanqiu was lying on a rocking chair, swaying gently. The prince's robe he was wearing was a very eye-catching golden color. The emperor's robe was bright yellow. Only the crown prince could wear golden yellow. The prince's robe was usually navy blue. Yanqiu waved his hand without even looking up. Xian Chen hesitated for a moment, then carried the food box onto the shore and left the pavilion. However, he didn't go far. He stood by the shore. If Shi Shang dared to do anything, he would rush over immediately. I heard that you are not Hong Jin? Yanqiu raised his head slightly. There was a hint of a smile in his lazy eyes. Reincarnated in someone else's body? Do you have any other stories to tell me? Yanqiu. This person didn't seem threatening at all. There was a sense of laziness in him, like a second-generation heir who was just waiting to die. However, such a person was able to live peacefully under the watchful eyes of so many people. Furthermore, he was so flamboyant. It was obvious that he wasn't a good person. What do you want to hear? Shi Shang walked over and sat down opposite him. What can you say? I'll tell you whatever you want to hear. Yanqiu got up from the rocking chair. His golden robe fell and made a slight sound. He glanced sideways at him. I want to know, who is the mastermind behind you? You want to know? Yanqiu sat down opposite him. He picked up the teapot and poured tea for himself. Will you tell me? Shi Shang shrugged and said indifferently, I can tell you, but you have to let me stay by your side. Yanqiu put down the teapot. Why should I let someone with an unknown motive stay by my side? You can't kill me. You should have seen how your sidekick attacked me just now. If he can stay by your side, it means that he is powerful. Therefore, under such circumstances, wouldn't it be better for you to keep me under your nose? Yanqiu paused. A few seconds later, he took a sip of the tea. Tell me about it. To put it simply, someone wants you and Yen Luan to kill each other. First, Hong Jin received a fake assassination order to assassinate Yen Luan. Then, someone in the capital plotted to attack Yanqiu. Hong Jin went missing and the clues pointed to Yen Luan. Hong Jin died overseas, so this plot could easily succeed. Shi Shang's eyes curved. There is indeed a traitor around you, but it's not me. The order that Hong Jin received was in a secret language that only they could understand, and only they knew about it. Why should I believe you? Shi Shang said nonchalantly. You asked me, so I'll tell you. I'm not asking you to believe me. Anyway, whether you believe me or not, I'll stay by your side. Yanqiu. She was so powerful that even Xian Chen was no match for her. It seemed that there was no way for her to stay. I'll tell you a secret. Shi Shang leaned on the table. Yanqiu raised her eyebrows. She seemed to be interested. What secret? Yen Huan is actually a woman. That Princess Ning Huan might be a man. But I'm not sure. If you want to know, you can send someone to try. Yanqiu's eyes narrowed. In an instant, her laziness disappeared. She became fierce. Yen Huan is a woman? Unbelievable, right? The unbelievable thing is, how did you know? I told you, I'm not Hong Jin. What's so strange about me knowing? Yanqiu's fierceness faded. Then, do you know when I'll die? With me around, how can you die? Shishang rolled his eyes. He said domineeringly, I can't care about natural disasters, but I can guarantee that no one can touch you. This answer was worlds apart from what Yanqiu had expected. After a long time, Yanqiu said faintly, I thought you could defy fate. Shishang rested his chin on his hand. I can, but it's meaningless. This world was not her world. So what if she could defy fate? It was just a waste of time. Shameless boasting. Thank you for the compliment. Yanqiu. He raised a few crocodiles and named them after the Big Dipper. Now he wanted her to embroider? Was there something wrong with his brain? Xian Chen wanted to complain. His Highness had a sudden impulse. Not to mention embroidery, he might even want him to dress as a woman. But he couldn't. He could only keep a straight face and say, finish it in 3 days. He turned to leave. When he reached the door, he paused and brought up His Highness' even more outrageous request. His Highness said that he wants to borrow your sword. Shishang looked up. What do you want to borrow it for? Xian Chen. Could he say that His Highness just wanted to see if you would lend it to him? It's just a useless sword in your hands. Does he lack weapons? I have many, just pick one. His Highness wants to borrow your sword. Shishang waved his hand to chase him away. It's back. I'll let it go back on its own. Xian Chen. Did that mean he agreed? What did she mean by this attitude? Was she fearless? Was the sword in their hands really a useless sword like she said? Thinking about how he couldn't pull it out at all, it seemed a lot more believable. Xian Chen left the room. Shishang was still staring at Bai Wan in the basket. Ask her to embroider? She might as well rebel. Shishang decisively pushed the basket away. Whoever wanted to embroider could embroider. She wasn't going to embroider. ## today's golden peach flavored vote ## monthly vote. Little cuties #. Chapter 1468. 3 days later, Yanqiu was holding onto a white and clean Bai Wan. He looked at the lady opposite him and asked, Is this the mandarin duck you embroidered? I can't embroider it, Shishang replied honestly. Then what's the use of you staying by my side? The man seemed to be smiling, but there was no expression on his face that could prove that he was smiling. But at this moment, he gave off the feeling that he was smiling. Shishang said seriously, Murder and arson? Xianchen. Yanqiu seemed to be amused. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, and the laziness in his eyes became more obvious. He looked like a large pet cat. A gentle breeze blew through his hair, and the air seemed to be filled with a sense of laziness. Yanqiu put Bai Wan down. He wasn't angry. Get ready. Follow me out later. Xianchen. What was His Highness trying to do? Yanqiu picked up the iron sword on the table and returned it to Shishang. It's a good sword, but it's too eye-catching. Shishang took it and coolly drew a sword flower in the air. Being eye-catching is what it's good at. It was supposed to be eye-catching. It didn't have to be buried in the dust or hide its brilliance. Yanqiu seemed to have thought of something. He raised his eyebrows slightly, and there was a faint smile on his lips. His golden robe seemed to be glowing, and the surroundings seemed to be brighter. Shishang tilted his head and looked at him. Yanqiu suddenly turned his head and met Shishang's gaze. Shang couldn't see any warmth in his dark eyes. There was only a sly cold glint in his eyes. TSK. Another difficult person to deal with. When Yen Qiu, the seventh prince, came out, he looked like a bully. People didn't even need to look at the logo to know who he was. Hence, the people on the streets automatically made way for him. Yen Qiu rested his elbow on the car window and supported his chin. He looked at the quiet streets outside. The fragrance of the street food was carried by the wind. He suddenly put down his hand and waved. Xianchen immediately went forward. Yen Qiu frowned. Let her come over. Xianchen. Why do I feel like I'm being despised? Xianchen asked someone to call Shang over. Shang walked to the car window and asked, "What's up? Do you see that shop in front?" Yen Qiu's slender finger pointed at a shop not far away. There were people lining up outside the shop and it was very lively. What's wrong? Do you want to snatch it? Shang glanced at her and then looked away. Yen Qiu, he put his hand to his lips and said, "Go inside and buy some golden lotus cake." You're a man, why are you eating pastries? Yen Qiu's gaze suddenly turned cold, as if to say, if you don't go, then don't follow me today, and don't even think about following me in the future. Shang, Mother Ker, you're so arrogant because you're being pampered. Give me money. Shang stretched out his hand. I'm very poor. Yen Qiu frowned. You can't even bear to part with such a small amount of money. I'm poor. Shang emphasized. This was ancient times, not modern times. Money was not so easy to earn in ancient times, unless she went to the mountains to be a bandit. Yen Qiu lowered the curtain with a swish. Shang, F*CK, what's wrong with her? Shang knocked on the window. Do you still want to eat? If you don't buy it back today, then don't go back to the residence. The carriage suddenly sped up and sped forward. The people on the street quickly moved out of the way. Shang stood rooted to the ground, dumbfounded. After a while, he turned to look at Xianchen, who had not caught up with them. Is there something wrong with your highness? Xianchen glanced at him and said against his conscience, His Highness is very good. Although he always felt that there was something wrong with His Highness, he could not say this. He was His Highness's subordinate. Even if His Highness was terminally ill, he could not say that His Highness was ill. Shang squeezed into the popular shop, but the shop was already sold out by the few people in front of her. The shop owner asked them to come back tomorrow. Everyone seemed to be used to it and consciously dispersed. In the end, Shang bought a portion from someone else at a high price. She did not have much money on her, and she still had to go to the medical hall to change her medicine, so she had to save her money. Now that there was a retard who insisted on spending her money, she was really forced to go up the mountain and become a bandit. Shang took the so-called golden lotus rice cake and caught up with Yen Qiu's group. Before he even got close, he could feel the uneasiness in the air. It was a crossroad. Yen Qiu's carriage was parked at the end of the road. Xianchen and the others surrounded the carriage in a protective semicircle. Yen Luan and the others were opposite the carriage. This was not the main point. The main point was that Yen Luan was being attacked. Yen Qiu was leaning against the window, watching intently. Shang gritted his teeth and passed through the layers of protection. He stuffed the golden lotus rice cake into Yen Qiu's hands. You predicted that she would be attacked, so you came to watch the show, right? Yen Qiu did not answer Shang. He opened the paper bag and a sweet fragrance immediately wafted out. He pinched a piece and put it in his mouth. The cake was very soft and melted in his mouth. There were some crumbs on his thin lips. He rolled his tongue and the crumbs were immediately sucked into his mouth. I found someone to do it. You don't have to calculate. Shang. My wife is amazing. Shang looked towards Yen Luan. The ninth prince and Princess Ning Huan's wedding was in full swing. However, at this critical juncture, assassins came wave after wave. In just a few days, the ninth prince had encountered no less than 5 assassination attempts. Most of these assassins were sent by Jin and Chu. They had started since Ning Huan left Xia. They did not want to see the marriage between Yen and Xia. Princess Ning Huan's beauty could topple the world. The crown princes of each country all had tender feelings towards beauties. The unlucky one was naturally Yen Luan. At this moment, even if Yen Qiu found someone to assassinate her, she probably would not know who the assassin was. Moreover, Yen Qiu did not seem to have any intention of killing her. Those assassins were only dealing with her, separating her from the others. Soon, there were only assassins around Yen Luan. She did not make a move. Instead, she dodged awkwardly. Shi Shang observed for a while and understood the motive of these assassins. They wanted Yen Luan to reveal her identity as a woman in front of everyone. This was much more useful than spreading any rumors. Shi Shang's gaze drifted to the man who was eating the cake. Yen Qiu seemed to have sensed it. He pinched the last piece of cake and put it in his mouth. His voice seemed to be tainted with the sweetness of the cake. "Do you know the consequences of betraying me?" After he finished speaking, he turned to look at Shi Shang. His eyes were as deep as an ancient well. They were calm but sinister. Shi Shang's lips twitched. He reached out and brushed the corner of his mouth. "Didn't I say that I won't betray you?" Her hand brushed the corner of his mouth, bringing a trace of coldness. Yen Qiu's expression suddenly changed. He threw the empty paper bag in his hand at Shi Shang. He shouted angrily, "Who allowed you to touch me? You didn't dodge." Shi Shang felt wronged. She was so slow just now. He had a chance to dodge. Yen Qiu gloomily glared at her. "Go back and copy the Buddhist scriptures. Copy until I'm satisfied." The curtains were lowered heavily, blocking the people inside. Shi Shang, how could he woo a pretentious and arrogant wife? Chapter 1469. Xianchen was surprised that His Highness was only angry and didn't order his men to feed her to the sky pivot. She had just touched His Highness. Even if he didn't feed her to the sky pivot, he should have chopped off her hand. That was the right way to deal with His Highness. What was wrong with His Highness? Wow! The crowd in front suddenly let out low gasps. The assassins had already removed Yen Luan's hair and her clothes were a little loose. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that she was a girl. Once Yen Luan's identity was exposed, the assassins retreated. She stood in the middle of the crowd with an ugly expression on her face and looked a little embarrassed. "Isn't that the 9th prince? How did he become a girl?" The people standing far away pointed at Yen Luan and whispered. Yen Luan clenched her fists and her eyes were full of hatred. She looked around and saw Yen Qiu's carriage. Shi Shang was standing next to the carriage. How could she not see him? This woman said that she wasn't one of the 7th prince's people, but now she was standing next to his carriage. Yen Luan's eyes were full of murderous intent. Yen Qiu's carriage appeared at such a coincidence. These assassins were completely different from the ones from a few days ago. They were obviously here to expose her identity. Yen Luan took the cloak from one of her men with a dark expression. She quickly put it on and hurriedly left this place. How do you think she will resolve this crisis? Shi Shang leaned close to the window. No one in the carriage responded. Shi Shang persisted and said, "If you just stand there, she will definitely know that you did it. Do you want to fall out with her?" There was still no response from the carriage. Shi Shang was helpless. This person seemed to have a lot of problems. "Hongjin, don't forget that you are here now," Xianchen reminded her. "Yes, so what?" Shi Shang asked indifferently. Then he boasted shamelessly, "Do you think I'm afraid of her? Even if 10 more Yen Luans came, they might not be able to do anything to me. I am a big boss who will fight head-on." Xianchen. In the past, he thought that His Highness was arrogant enough to make people want to strangle him. Now, compared to this woman, His Highness was really too cute. Shi Shang soon found out how Yen Luan had resolved this crisis. Before the rumor had spread, Yen Luan had created an even bigger piece of news to prove that she hadn't been there at the time. That person was an imposter. Fortunately, Yen Wan did not bring any familiar faces with her. In the end, she even made a move. Everyone knew that Yen Wan was a sickly person who didn't even know any martial arts, let alone martial arts. Therefore, Yen Wan accidentally fooled the ordinary people. However, the other people in the dock were definitely not so easy to fool. As long as they did not have the chance to get hold of her weakness, she would be fine. Your Highness, did you miscalculate? Shi Shang was sprawled across the table, copying the so-called Buddhist scriptures in a crooked manner as she spoke to the man in the distance. The seeds of suspicion have been planted. Someone will deal with her. Troublesome. Shi Shang pursed his lips. Why don't you just kill her directly? Why do you have to set up such a complicated trap? Yen Qiu looked at the calm surface of the lake. His voice was like the calm lake water. Because I've been living in a trap. Shi Shang looked up. The man was standing at the edge of the pavilion, his golden robe fluttering in the wind. His back view looked a little lonely and desolate. Yen Qiu turned around, his face still languid. He said softly, "You're standing outside the trap. If you make one wrong move, it doesn't matter. You can do it again. But I'm inside the trap. If I make one wrong move, I'll lose everything. I can't afford to lose." Shi Shang put down his pen. She met his gaze and said seriously, "From the moment I came to your side, I've been inside the trap. Even if you have the worst chess game, I can turn it around for you. Yen Qiu, do you trust me? Yen Qiu, do you trust me?" Yen Qiu rocked the rocking chair. This sentence kept circling in his mind. He should be wary of her, but he couldn't be ruthless. This was the first time. He couldn't be ruthless. When she asked him this question, he didn't answer. Because he didn't know the answer either. If he didn't trust her, why did he keep her by his side? He didn't even keep his guard up around her. If he trusted her, why couldn't he say it out loud? Yen Qiu covered his eyes. Why did he always tell her some things inadvertently? Why? Was it really as she said, that they were fated to be together for 3 lifetimes? Was she really here to look for him? "Your Highness, it's late. You should rest." Shen Chen entered the room. Seeing that Yen Qiu was still awake, he couldn't help but remind him. "Shen Chen." Yen Qiu removed his hand from his eyes. He sounded a little tired. "I'm really tired." Shen Chen was startled. "Your Highness." Yen Qiu rocked the rocking chair gently. The dim light shone on his face, as though it was coated with a layer of warm light. "But I don't have a way out. The road ahead is a grave, and the road behind is an abyss. What do you think I should do?" Shen Chen clenched his fists. Yen Qiu waved his hand. "You can leave." "Your Highness, are you thinking of retreating?" Shen Chen looked at Yen Qiu boldly. Yen Qiu was stunned. So this was called retreating. He lowered his eyes and muttered almost inaudibly, "I'm also just one person. No matter how hard an armor was, it was still just an armor. It could equip the body, but it couldn't equip the heart. It could equip strength, but it couldn't equip despair and helplessness. Your Highness isn't just one person." Shen Chen suddenly knelt down and swore. "Shen Chen will follow your Highness forever. You can leave." Chapter 1470. Shi Shang tried to quibble. "You only said that I can't leave the residence without permission, but you didn't say that I can't climb over the wall behind your back." Yen Qiu turned to look at him, a cold light swirling in his eyes. "Don't challenge my patience. Even if I did, what are you going to do to me? Kill me? Are you willing to do that?" Shi Shang patted his chest. "Even if I gave you 10 guts, you wouldn't dare to touch me. Do you believe me?" Yen Qiu. Where did this woman get her confidence from? He gritted his teeth. "Why did you leave the residence?" "To investigate something." "What is it?" Shi Shang glanced at him. "Long Yen City." "Long Yen City? Why are you investigating it?" Yen Qiu frowned. Nothing much. I just want to go in and take a look at the so-called peony scenery. Yen Qiu frowned even more. What's there to see? You're not allowed to go to that kind of place. Oh, Your Highness, are you trying to control me? Who are you to me? Shi Shang's teasing voice made Yen Qiu's embarrassment, which had just faded, reappear. He glared at Shi Shang somewhat angrily. You're my person now, so you have to listen to me. You're not allowed to go to Long Yen City, and you're not allowed to go to some peony scenery. You're not allowed to go against my words. Shi Shang rolled his eyes. You said you're not going, so you're not going. You're not even giving me any benefits. Shi Shang didn't respond. He grabbed his arm and pulled him into the room. Why did you come to find me? Don't tell me you sleepwalked here. Yen Qiu wanted to break free, but his hand slipped. Shi Shang grabbed his hand. In that instant, he forgot to struggle and followed her into the room. After entering the room, Yen Qiu finally reacted. In order to hide his embarrassment, he frowned and scolded, Did you hear what I said just now? No. Shi Shang refused. You dare to go against me? So what? Shi Shang turned around and sneered. I indulge you, but that doesn't mean you can order me around. I don't like your tone just now, do you understand? If Yen Qiu said a few soft words to her, even if she didn't agree, she would still talk things out with him. But with that kind of tone, it would be strange if she agreed. Yes, she was amenable to coaxing but not coercion. If you're tough, she's tougher than you. Yen Qiu's heart jerked as boundless panic spread out from the depths of her heart, and it came menacingly yet inexplicably. Yen Qiu frowned. She pressed the tip of her tongue and swallowed the rest of her words. Don't forget your identity. Shi Shang let go of Yen Qiu's hand. Yen Qiu's heart suddenly felt empty. He wanted to grab her hand back, but he controlled himself and clenched his hand tightly in his sleeves. You're the one who didn't know who I was. Shi Shang took a deep breath and stopped talking. I won't argue with you now. You can go back first. She was afraid that she would not be able to resist punching him later. But it wasn't his fault that he didn't have any memories. Yen Qiu also seemed to be a little annoyed. She flung her sleeves and left. When she was out of the courtyard, she realized that this was his residence. Why did he have to listen to her? Yen Qiu gritted her teeth. Tomorrow, she would have to bathe Tianshu. Humph. Yen Qiu reached out her hand from her sleeve and rubbed it with her fingertips. It was very smooth and there seemed to be the warmth of her hand. After a while, Yen Qiu was very annoyed. He put down his hand and walked back to his room. When he walked past a corridor, a few black figures appeared from the other end of the corridor and came face to face with Yen Qiu. The black figures were stunned. Then they raised their weapons and rushed towards Yen Qiu. When Shi Shang arrived, the fighting had stopped. The people in the residence were instructing people to move the bodies away. Yen Qiu sat in the corridor. His body was slightly bent and his elbows were on his knees. Xianchen was standing a little further away from him. She seemed to be a little nervous. The movements of the people around them were much lighter. There was a vacuum around him. No one dared to approach him. Shi Shang rushed up the corridor. Xianchen reached out to stop him. His Highness is emotionally unstable. Don't go over. What's wrong with him? Shi Shang frowned. Xianchen was silent for a moment. His Highness always acts like this after killing someone. Shi Shang broke away from Xianchen, walked up to Yen Qiu and pulled him into his arms. Yen Qiu's body stiffened for a moment. Maybe it was because he smelled Shi Shang's scent or because he was too tired. He wrapped his arms around her waist and buried his head in her stomach. Xianchen looked at Shi Shang strangely. His Highness was actually hugging her. In the past, when His Highness killed someone, it was difficult for them to even get close to him. It would take them several days to recover. Xianchen hesitated for a moment. Then he ordered the others to leave. He retreated further away to prevent any accidents from happening. After all, he didn't really trust that woman. Shi Shang caressed his head from time to time. Are you scared? Yen Qiu tilted his head, but his arms tightened. His voice was unnaturally hoarse. I don't want to kill anyone. But I can't stop. If I don't kill them, they will kill me. Every time he killed someone, Shi Shang would replay the scene of those people dying. Blood splattered everywhere. The scarlet blood spread in his heart like ink, leaving behind only a sinister scarlet. He was afraid. But he couldn't show any weakness, not even in front of Xianchen. But she suddenly rushed forward. Like a sharp sword, she cut through the thorns and reached the depths of his heart. She pulled him out of the swamp of fear and bathed him in the warmth of the sun. He heard her say, "I'll help you kill in the future. I'll help you block all the blood and filth. I'll help you shoulder all the suffering." When Yen Qiu woke up, it was already the next morning. He stared blankly at the top of the bed. When did he fall asleep last night? This was the first time he could actually fall asleep after killing someone. Yen Qiu moved his hand and realized that he was holding someone. He looked down and saw the person lying on the bed. When he moved, that person woke up. She supported herself on the bed and straightened her body. Some of his confused memories slowly cleared up as her face appeared in his vision. He seemed to have told her a lot. He told her about his fear and the weakness in his heart. In the end, he hugged her and fell asleep. He didn't even know how he came back. Shi Shang moved his hand and immediately sucked in a cold breath. He had been in the same position for too long and felt a little numb. Yen Qiu instinctively let go of him and looked away. "Why are you sleeping here?" Shi Shang moved his hand and was speechless. "You insisted on holding on to me last night. What could I do?" He held on to her? Yen Qiu felt that this was a little unbelievable. But what happened last night was indeed a little strange. He bit his lower lip. "You're not allowed to tell anyone about what happened last night." Shi Shang looked at him and leaned over to look at him. His eyes were shining. "Sure, give me a kiss and I won't tell anyone." Yen Qiu widened his eyes and silently condemned Shi Shang for being shameless. "If you don't kiss me, I'll go out and publicize it." Scram. Chapter 1471. Yen Qiu was sure that Shi Shang wouldn't tell anyone, so he rudely drove her out. "If I knew this would happen, I would have slept with you last night." Shi Shang kicked the tightly shut door to vent her anger. If she hadn't promised him last time, she wouldn't have let him go last night. Shi Shang stood at the door for a while, then turned and left angrily. Yen Qiu leaned against the door and felt that he was out of breath. It took him a while to calm down. Yen Wan and Princess Ning Huan's wedding was set on the 9th day of the lunar month. As the most favored prince, Yen Qiu attended the wedding on behalf of the emperor. Yen Wan didn't want to bring Shi Shang, but Shi Shang followed her everywhere. If someone tried to stop her, she would hit them. Yen Wan had no choice but to bring her along. The 9th prince's mansion was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. It was a joyous occasion. After all, it was a marriage between two countries. Even if the 9th prince was sickly and not favored, he was marrying Princess Ning Huan. The ministers did not dare to slack off and brought gifts to congratulate him. Yen Qiu's extravagance was as grand as always. In the capital, he was probably the most extravagant one except for the emperor. Even a simple trip could be treated like a parade. The officials came out to greet him. Xianchen wanted to help him get off the carriage, but Shi Shang beat him to it and reached out his hand into the carriage. Yen Qiu hesitated. With so many people watching, he couldn't lose his temper. He put his hand in Shi Shang's hand and got off the carriage with his help. Shi Shang took the opportunity to pinch him. Yen Qiu gasped and glared at him angrily. Shi Shang let go of him with a smile and stepped back to stand side by side with Xianchen. "I'll teach her a lesson when I get back." Yen Qiu thought fiercely. He put on his usual expression and walked over to them. "Your Highness, the 7th prince. You may rise." Yen Qiu's voice was lazy and didn't seem dangerous. But everyone knew that this prince only looked harmless now. When he changed his mind, it was faster than flipping a book. Yan Qiu said those 2 words and then led a large group of people into the mansion. After he went in, the group of people let out a sigh of relief. Strange, why is there a woman beside the 7th prince? That's right. Just now, it was that woman who helped him out of the carriage. In the past, didn't the 7th prince only have Xianchen by his side to serve him? He's getting older, it's hard to avoid. The man revealed an expression that all men understood. The 7th prince wasn't that old a few years ago, it's not strange for him to have a woman now. Everyone looked at each other with different thoughts in their minds. The sound of the suona came from afar. Everyone ignored Yan Qiu and craned their necks to look at the street. Since Princess Ning Huan came to the capital, she had never left her courtyard. They didn't even have the chance to see the legendary most beautiful woman in the world. Today, they could finally see her. It was bustling outside, but the inside seemed a little cold and cheerless. Yan Qiu drank his tea slowly. He came today on behalf of the emperor, so he was sitting on the main seat in the main hall. He didn't put down his teacup until the bride and groom came in. Yan Luan clenched the red silk in her hand. Her gaze swept past Yan Qiu and landed on Shi Shang, who was behind him. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows and met Yan Luan's gaze without fear. Yan Luan was a little scared of Shi Shang. His eyes looked calm and peaceful, but they made people feel very uncomfortable. It was like being eroded by darkness in an instant. Except for herself, there was nothing else around her. That kind of fear came out of the darkness and pulled her into hell. Yan Luan's heart skipped a beat. She forced herself to look away, and that feeling weakened a little. She and Yan Qiu didn't get along well, but he was the one who presided over her wedding. How ridiculous it was. The people around didn't dare to make a sound. The wedding hall was a little gloomy and cold. 9th brother, congratulations on marrying the most beautiful woman in the world. Yan Qiu broke the silence first. His tone was very unkind, and everyone present could hear it. Thank you, brother. Yan Luan restrained the murderous aura in her body and tried to keep herself calm. Yan Qiu raised his hand. Let's start. The MC glanced at Yan Luan. Yan Luan nodded slightly. Then he began a long series of congratulatory words, and finally entered the most important stage. First, bow to heaven and earth. Second, bow to your parents. Husband and wife, bow to each other. Yan Luan and Princess Ning Huan stood facing each other. Just as they bowed, countless arrows rained down from the sky. Ah! The sudden rain of arrows scared the guests and made them scream. They all looked for places to hide. Assassins! Someone's killing me! Help! Shouts came out of the wedding hall, and the people outside immediately rushed in to fight with the assassins who had already broken in. Yan Qiu sat on the main seat. He didn't even change his posture. Xianchen came in with people and blocked in front of him. The assassins outside should be aiming for Yan Luan. No one attacked them. Princess Ning Huan's veil was pulled down by someone amidst the chaos. Her devastatingly beautiful face was immediately exposed in front of everyone. For a moment, everyone felt that time had stopped. Only Princess Ning Huan's beauty was left. Princess Ning Huan's face showed an appropriate amount of panic. She hid behind Yan Luan. Protect the princess. Yan Luan shouted to the front. The people who were shocked by her beauty immediately came back to their senses. The assassins approached Shi Shang. Suddenly, someone took advantage of the chaos to attack Xianchen and the others. They had many people. Coupled with the chaotic guests, they quickly scattered Xianchen and the others. Only Shi Shang was left beside Yan Qiu. An assassin rushed out from the side and attacked Yan Qiu. Yan Qiu's fingers moved slightly. Before he could make a move, a hand covered his hand. The wind blew past his ears. The person beside him had already appeared in front of him. The iron sword and the assassin's sword collided. With a clang, the assassin's sword broke into two. He looked down at his weapon in disbelief. The assassin felt a sense of danger. Before he could raise his head, the iron sword had already pierced through his abdomen. The assassin fell backward. Sher Shang suddenly turned around and pointed the iron sword at the person coming from the side. Heroine, heroine, don't do it. It's me. It's me. Last time at the city gate, we talked. The assassin stopped abruptly and hurriedly said, Sher Shang. That poor boss who eats dirt. Why was it them again? Sher Shang narrowed his eyes. His voice was full of danger. Are you here to assassinate Yen Qiu? No, no. This is not my man. The boss immediately waved his hand. He pointed at the person on the ground and said, Our target is the 9th prince. Sher Shang glanced at Yen Luan. There were more than 10 assassins away from them. Yen Luan is over there. What are you doing here? Seeing that you're here, I came over to say hello. The boss said matter-of-factly. Let's talk next time. I'll go first. The boss turned around and rejoined the battle. Sher Shang glanced around and killed 2 assassins who tried to approach Yen Qiu. He quickly returned to Yen Qiu's side. There are 2 groups of people. One is coming for you. The other is coming for Yen Luan. It was the same situation as the city gate. Chapter 1472. Usually, Yen Qiu was surrounded by a large group of people. Only during the wedding ceremony, Xianchen and the others were not allowed to enter. This was such a good opportunity for them to make a move. Apart from the unreliable assassins led by their boss, the other group of assassins were obviously more professional and powerful. Xianchen and the others were unable to free themselves from their clutches. Yen Qiu did not say that he wanted to leave, so Sher Shang allowed him to sit there. Whenever an assassin came, he would kill them in a few moves. Soon, there were several corpses piled up in front of Yen Qiu. Retreat. Perhaps seeing that there was no hope, the assassins who wanted to kill Yen Qiu retreated first. When the other assassins saw that the people here had retreated and saw that more and more people were coming in from outside, they immediately retreated as well. The chaotic scene gradually calmed down. A good wedding had turned into such a mess. Quick, check if anyone is injured. Search everywhere in the residence. The people from the 9th prince's residence hurriedly ordered people to take the frightened guests away. Soon, only a small group of people were left in the wedding hall. Yen Luan walked out from the crowd with a pale face. She went straight to Yen Qiu and questioned, 7th brother, shouldn't you give me an explanation? Yen Qiu looked up without a change in his expression. 9th Emperor, what explanation do you want from me? What were the assassin and Hong Jin talking about? Yen Luan pointed at Sher Shang. Is she in cahoots with the assassin? Also, 7th brother said that you didn't know her. Why is she beside 9th brother now? Shouldn't 7th brother give me an explanation about her assassination attempt on me? Back at the city gates, Xianchen had denied that she wasn't someone from the 7th Emperor's manor. However, not long after, she had appeared by Yen Qiu's side, and he had swaggered her away. She didn't believe that the assassination attempt on her had nothing to do with her 7th Emperor brother. Is this the assassin who went on a killing spree at the city gate? She really has something to do with the 7th prince. Sigh, I also saw her talking to the assassin. The 7th prince is becoming more and more lawless. If he becomes the crown prince, the Yen kingdom will be finished. This kind of person should be arrested. Arrest her. Hurry up and arrest her. Those who had not left started to respond. Yen Qiu stood up, and his golden robe spread out. His gaze swept across the people present. He didn't say anything, but everyone felt as if Mount Tai was pressing down on them. The man's entire body was covered with a layer of frost, and the laziness on his face had long disappeared, leaving only a gloomy ruthlessness. 9th Imperial brother said that she tried to assassinate you. Do you have any evidence to prove it? Yen Luan intended to shed all pretense of cordiality today. She said directly, at that time, there were so many people at the city gate. She admitted it herself. 7th Imperial brother, you won't cover for her, right? Or was it you who instigated the assassination? Humph, 9th Royal brother, you think too highly of yourself. Are you worthy of me making a move? Yen Qiu was obviously angry. She sneered coldly, do you think you can hide your little tricks from everyone? Think about it carefully. Who is it that wants to kill you? Yen Qiu started to walk away. He took 2 steps and realized that Shi Shang was not following him. He turned around and scolded him. What? Do you still want to plead guilty here? Shi Shang shrugged innocently. How could you vent your anger on someone else? Yen Qiu snorted coldly. Who asked you to cause trouble for me? Don't you know to cover your face if you want to kill someone? Stop. Yen Wan shouted loudly and said firmly, 7th Imperial Brother, if you can't give me an explanation for what happened today, don't blame me for poking my father. Today is my wedding with Princess Ning Huan. My father will not sit by and do nothing. Yen Qiu looked at Yen Wan with ridicule in his eyes. I wish 9th Royal Brother all the best. Yen Wan's pupils shrank slightly. He took advantage of her father's favor and did not put them in his eyes at all. Yen Wan knew since she was a child that Yen Qiu was favored. All the princes in the palace could not compare to him. Before she found out that she was different from the other princes, she was jealous of Yen Qiu. He could play around in front of her father and ask for anything he wanted, but they could not. When she found out that she was different from the others and realized that she was a girl, she began to feel afraid and uneasy. She was afraid that she would be exposed. Her mother told her that if she was exposed, they would all be killed. The crime of deceiving the emperor was a capital crime and they would be beheaded. Therefore, she did not dare to show any talent in front of her father. As long as it did not cross her bottom line, she would endure it. But her 7th Imperial Brother always went against her. He clearly had everything. Why did he still target her? Yen Wan could not see through and did not understand. After leaving the residence, Yen Qiu got on the carriage with a cold face. Shi Shang grabbed the edge of the carriage and jumped directly into it under Xuanzhen's horrified gaze. Yen Qiu glanced at him and opened his mouth. The words "get out" turned into a heavy snort. Shi Shang sat opposite him. Seeing that he was not thrown out, Xuanzhen did not ask and went back to the residence. The carriage shook. Yen Qiu ignored Shi Shang and sat in the back, closing his eyes to rest. You don't seem to be as favored as the rumors say. Yen Qiu suddenly opened his eyes. The air seemed to freeze. He stared straight at Shi Shang. Am I right? Shi Shang was not impressed at all. He grinned. Do you live a hard life? Yen Qiu was silent for a moment. He retracted his gaze and closed his eyes, ignoring her. Suddenly, he felt something heavy in his arms. She leaned on his shoulder and wrapped her arms around his neck. I'll pamper you in the future. I'll pamper you with this vast land. Yen Qiu's heart clenched, throbbing with pain. Strange images flashed through his mind. He was a little confused and his heart palpitated. It was as if he had found a treasure. He slowly reached out and hugged her waist, pulling her into his arms. He rested his chin on her shoulder and removed his fake mask, leaving only fatigue. I'm very tired, very tired. Every day, I feel like I'm living on the edge of a knife. I'm bleeding non-stop, but I can only move forward like a puppet. I can't make any mistakes. Otherwise, what awaits me is an abyss of eternal damnation. I don't want to admit defeat, but I'm really tired. Shi Shang struggled for a moment. He raised his head and looked into Yen Qiu's eyes. His eyes were still, but there was a hint of weakness in them. It was as if he was a building that could collapse at any time. She held his face and slowly leaned in. Her soft lips landed on his. Seeing that he did not resist, Shi Shang slowly increased his strength. Thump, 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 thump. It was not that Yen Qiu did not resist. He was stunned. His heart was beating wildly in his chest, waking him up. His cheeks were burning. He was about to struggle when he heard her voice. She said, "Then let's go against the world and make the world give way to your deviations." Monday on the list. Please vote. Chapter 1473. Let the world give way to your deviations. Yen Qiu lowered his eyelashes and looked at the person in his arms. His eyes were unreadable. After a while he said, "You are really shameless." He chuckled. "But I suddenly like you a little." Even if those words were a lie, it still made him very happy. "Then kiss me more?" Shi Shang immediately went along with the flow. Yen Qiu pushed her away and straightened his slightly messy clothes. "You wish. I won't hold it against you for what you did just now. I'll buy some golden lotus cake later to atone for my sins." Shi Shang was furious. "My dear Highness, it's already past noon. It's already sold out, okay? Do you want me to go up to the heavens and snatch it for you? Even if you wanted to snatch it from the heavens, you had to have it first. That shop only opened in the morning and usually sold out before 10 a.m. Even if she went to buy it at a high price, she wouldn't be able to get it." Yen Qiu glanced at her. "I'm in a bad mood. I want to eat it." "Shi Shang." Yen Qiu's tone was subconsciously soft. Shi Shang looked at him twice, lifted the curtain, and got out of the carriage. After she left, Yen Qiu heaved a sigh of relief from the bottom of his heart. His suppressed heartbeat started to beat wildly again. He really wasn't sure if she would notice anything strange if she stayed any longer. "Your Highness, where is she going?" Xian Chen's voice sounded from outside. "Should I send someone to follow her?" Yen Qiu steadied his breathing. "No need." Shi Shang returned to the seventh prince's residence with the golden lotus cake that he had just made. Yen Qiu was in the pavilion where the crocodiles were kept. He was practicing his calligraphy in front of the stone table. Every time she saw him, he was lazy and never so serious. Shi Shang went over to see what he was writing. On the white rice paper, there was a word that was covered by his hand, so she couldn't see it clearly. Yen Qiu put away his brush before she came over. He casually lifted the rice paper to cover the words on it, then reached out to Shi Shang. The corner of Shi Shang's mouth twitched as he passed the golden silk lotus seed cake over. Yen Qiu took the pastries and lay back on the rocking chair. He pinched them one by one and put them into his mouth. The fragrant taste filled the air. He seemed to enjoy the taste very much. His eyes were slightly narrowed and his face was full of satisfaction. Shi Shang leaned against the table and looked at him. Her mind was in a mess. She had to think about how to rebel quickly. Shi Shang's lips suddenly felt cold. The aroma from before was even stronger. She gathered her scattered thoughts and looked down at the pastry that was about to be delivered to her mouth. The owner of the pastry was a little impatient. "Open your mouth." Shi Shang opened his mouth, but Yen Qiu shoved the food into his mouth and explained, "Food can't be wasted. I gave it to you because I couldn't finish it. Don't overthink it." Shi Shang swallowed the pastry. It was fragrant and rich. It was quite delicious. No wonder he liked it so much. Shi Shang licked the corner of his lips and smiled. "Your Highness, have you ever heard of the saying that you're trying to hide 300 taels of silver?" "No." Yen Qiu denied without hesitation. "Uft. What are you laughing at?" Yen Qiu glared at him angrily. "Don't laugh. What's so funny?" "Umph. I can't help it." Shi Shang's smile widened. "He looked so cute just now. I said don't laugh. If you laugh again, I'll throw you down to feed Tianshu." Yen Qiu raised his voice. "I'm telling you, don't be arrogant just because you're favored." "Shi Shang, who's the arrogant one here? Don't you have any shame for saying such things?" Yen Qiu left in a fit of anger at Shi Shang in the end. Shi Shang reached out and unfolded the paper. The word beside the word yen immediately became clear. It was the word kill. If it was an ordinary person, he would have used the word kill. But he used the word kill, and the word yen. Shi Shang narrowed his eyes. His previous conjecture had been proven. It was said that the emperor doted on the seventh prince. However, Shi Shang felt that the emperor was pushing him into the limelight so that everyone's attention would be on him. Shi Shang covered the paper again and rubbed his chin, deep in thought. He had to think of a way. The seventh prince's residence was peaceful. However, it was not peaceful outside. Princess Ning Huan's wedding was attacked again. The diplomatic group from the Xia was furious. It happened once when they entered the city, and now it happened again. Were they trying to embarrass the Xia or show the incompetence of the Yen? The diplomatic group demanded an explanation from the emperor. However, they did not dare to go too far. After all, Princess Ning Huan and the ninth prince had finished the ceremony. Yen Qiu's behavior at the wedding was too arrogant. Yen Luan directly reported Shi Shang to the emperor. In order to protect Yen Qiu, the emperor sent someone to the residence to ask him to hand over Shi Shang. Yen Qiu insisted that there was no such person in the residence. The people outside could not do anything to him. They could not break into the seventh prince's residence either. If the seventh prince complained to the emperor, they would lose their heads. Your Highness, it's just a servant. Hand him over first. After a few days, the emperor will find a few more servants for you. Now that this matter has become big, the emperor is also in a difficult position. Please don't make things difficult for the emperor. The eunuchs in the palace kept persuading Yen Qiu. Eunuch Yu, there is no such person in the residence. Where do you want me to find someone for you? Yen Qiu's expression was languid. Your Highness. Eunuch Yu continued persuading, there were so many people watching that day. If you deny it now, wouldn't it be a joke? I said there is no such person. Yen Qiu glanced at Eunuch Yu. If there is nothing else, please go back. Eunuch Yu. He had not finished talking about this matter. How could there be nothing else? Your Highness. Yen Qiu interrupted him. Xianchen, throw him out. Eunuch Yu was thrown out of the seventh prince's residence. He wiped his cold sweat and looked at the plaque above his head. The people in the palace were most afraid of dealing with this person. If he did not admit it, they could not do anything to him. Because Yen Qiu did not admit it, the emperor could only find a way himself. He found someone to pretend to be Shi Shang and handed it over to Yen Luan. When Yen Luan heard the news, she almost went crazy. Was the emperor treating her like a 3-year-old child? He was too biased. For the first time, Yen Luan had a strong resentment towards the emperor. He, Yen Qiu, was his son. Was she not? What's wrong? Who made you so angry? A beautiful figure came in from outside the door. Looking at the mess on the ground, her eyebrows raised. Her beautiful face revealed a trace of surprise. Yen Luan glanced at her. Princess Ning Huan, are you laughing at me? I don't dare. You are the Highness. Princess Ning Huan said so, but there was not much respect in her tone. Prince Ning Huan. Yen Luan gritted her teeth and called her word by word. The difference of one word was two completely different meanings. Ning Huan smiled slightly. Her voice was soft but full of threat. Your Highness, be careful. The walls have ears. If someone hears you, the unlucky one will not be me alone. If something happens to me, I will definitely drag you down with me. Yen Luan snorted. Why are you looking for me? You are my husband. Can't I look for you if there is nothing? Chapter 1474. Yen Luan sat down calmly and poured herself a cup of water. I don't care what your purpose is, but it's impossible for you to get any help from me. I can't even protect myself now. Father's favoritism, her identity as a woman, and Yen Qiu's targeting were all like knives hanging over her head that could take her life at any time. And the person she married was a man. Ning Huan closed the door. Why don't we make a deal? Deal? Yen Luan looked at Ning Huan. Do me a small favor and I'll help you solve this big problem. Yen Qiu. How about that? You. Yen Luan obviously didn't trust this cross-dressing Princess Ning Huan. Yen Qiu was almost invincible in the capital. Other than father, who could do anything to him? Those people tried to assassinate him every day, but he was still alive and well. And because of him, many ministers were dismissed and forced to return home. This was Yen country, not Xia country. What ability did he have to deal with Yen Qiu? Your Highness, you don't believe me? Yen Luan looked at him seriously. There's nothing I can believe. How can I believe you? Princess Ning Huan supported her chin and smiled. Your Highness, we're in the same boat now. He knew she was a woman and she knew he was a man. It was fair. Ning Huan smiled. That smile seemed to be able to steal people's souls. Yen Luan was a little dazed. After a few seconds, she came back to her senses and looked away unnaturally. Even if you really have the ability, what do you want me to help you with? It's a very simple favor. Your Highness, don't worry. It won't make things difficult for you. Yen Luan frowned. Their breathing seemed to have disappeared and the whole world fell into silence. Okay. Happy cooperation. Shi Shang looked at his wound in the bronze mirror and twisted his body. It was still the same. It healed and split open, then healed again. Except for the pain when it split open, he didn't feel anything else. The wound was made by Yen Luan's people. But no matter how bad the female lead was, she wouldn't become so dark and be poisoned. Therefore, it was hard to say where the goo poison came from. Shi Shang put on his clothes and went out with his iron sword to look for Yen Qiu. Yen Qiu was feeding his precious Big Dipper when Shi Shang squatted beside him. Yen Qiu. Yen Qiu's sleeves were half rolled up, revealing his fair arms. The light from the lake shone on his fair skin, making it look even more translucent. When he heard the voice, he glanced sideways slightly. Why was he silently asking? Do you know how to use goo on your men of sacrifice? Yen Qiu retracted her gaze and said, Yes. Shi Shang. But that was after Hong Jin betrayed me. Yen Qiu continued, You don't have my goo in your body. He got up and slowly put down his sleeves. Why, do you have a goo in your body? Probably. Shi Shang stood up and tugged at Shi Shang's sleeve. Do you want to take a look for me? I might be dying. Yen Qiu frowned slightly. He grabbed Shi Shang's wrist and released it after a while. What are his symptoms? I was injured before, but the wound kept coming back and it's not good. Where is the wound? Shi Shang turned his back to Shi Shang and reached out to touch the wound. It's here. Yen Qiu. Why did it feel like she was teasing him? Put down the curtain and take off your clothes. Shi Shang raised his hand. A strong wind swept around and the curtain fell automatically. She unbuttoned her clothes and exposed her back. The hideous wound was immediately exposed to Yen Qiu's eyes. He was slightly stunned. He knew that she was injured. Xianchen had reported it to him, but she hadn't been to the medical center recently. She didn't look weak either, so he thought that she had recovered. The wound stretched from her left shoulder to her waist. Although it wasn't as bloody as before, it was still horrifying to look at. Yen Qiu's fingers trembled slightly. He gently touched the edge of the wound and felt the throbbing pain again. Does it hurt? Shi Shang turned his head to look at the wound. It doesn't hurt very much. Is it a goo? I can't tell. Yen Qiu composed himself and looked at the wound carefully. The edge was light pink, which was different from the surrounding skin. It was new flesh that had just grown out. There was a scar in the middle, so he couldn't see the inside. I need to open the wound. Yen Qiu looked at her. It will hurt a little. Can you bear it? Yes. Yen Qiu took out a small knife from his waist. He pointed at it and put it down. He draped his clothes around her and turned around. Hug me. Shi Shang wrapped her arms around his waist. Yen Qiu stood and opened the scar on her wound. Blood immediately flowed down her back and dyed the fabric around her waist red. Yen Qiu's hands were trembling. He took a deep breath and tried his best to control himself. When he opened a small section of the wound, his back was already soaked in cold sweat. Are you okay? Shi Shang shook his head. The wound had been opened so many times that it was numb to the pain. Yen Qiu asked her to let go. He walked out of the pavilion and brought in some hot water from behind the curtain. Shi Shang knew that Xianchen had come by just now, but he didn't know when Yen Qiu contacted him. Yen Qiu cleaned the blood off her body before examining her wound. The wound didn't look any different from other injuries, but the flesh inside was a little dim even though it had been stained with blood. It wasn't bright red. It's the demon worm goo. Yen Qiu grabbed her shoulder and turned her around. He looked serious. How did you get poisoned by this goo? I don't know. She really didn't know whether the goo was poisoned by the original owner before or after she was injured. What kind of goo is this? Is it very powerful? Is it deadly? Yen Qiu stared at her for a few seconds, then turned her back and helped her treat her wound. This kind of goo should have been extinct long ago. They are the treasure of the Southern True Goo sect. This kind of goo can make people die quietly, and in the end, not even their bones are left. You have been injured for so long. Logically speaking, you should have been. If you weren't poisoned by someone, then you are a goo person. Shi Shang turned around abruptly. What the hell? What is a goo person? Yen Qiu tidied her clothes and explained, I heard that the Southern True Goo sect uses children to raise the demon worm goo. They let the demon worm goo enter the children's bodies when they are young. The demon worm goo has no killing power in its infancy. Instead, it has a strong healing power. When they grow up with the children, they establish a special connection with the children. Not only will they not hurt the children, but they will also protect them. But when the children are killed, these goo will change. They will enter adulthood and become killing tools. This is the demon worm goo that the Southern True Goo sect wants. And those children are called goo people. The Southern True Goo sect is an evil sect. It was destroyed more than 10 years ago. The demon worm goo also disappeared with the Southern True Goo sect. Yen Qiu frowned. The goo in your body seems to have just been awakened. It is still in its infancy. They are healing you, but I don't know why your wound won't heal. His knowledge was limited. It was good enough that he could say so much. Chapter 1475. Shi Shang was confused. Why did the original owner have such an identity? When was the Southern True Goo sect destroyed? Yen Qiu thought for a moment. 13 years ago. 13 years ago, the original owner was 7 years old. That was when she entered the 7th prince's residence. The timing was right. They won't hurt you for the time being, but I can't give you a definite answer about whether your wound will heal. Yen Qiu frowned and comforted her instinctively. Don't worry, I'll send someone to investigate. Shi Shang nodded thoughtfully. She casually smoothed out her clothes before turning back with a smile on her face. Your Highness, shouldn't you be responsible for me? Yen Qiu blushed and looked at Shi Shang calmly. I'll be responsible. Do you think I'm afraid of you? He had seen her body. That was an indisputable fact. Moreover, he didn't hate her. He even wanted to be close to her sometimes. He had lived a careful life for more than 20 years. He wanted to indulge himself and follow his heart. Very good. Yen Qiu. Her reaction. What did it mean? Just 2 words. Why did he feel like he had suffered a huge loss? Shi Shang hadn't seen Yen Qiu for a few days. Shenchen wasn't around either. Yen Qiu had asked him to take care of his Big Dipper before she disappeared. Shi Shang couldn't understand what Yen Qiu liked about the Big Dipper. It wasn't good-looking or cute. It couldn't speak and only knew how to eat. It was ferocious. Ferocious? F***ck. Did that idiot like the ferocious Big Dipper? Shi Shang looked at the huge creature floating on the lake. That seemed to be the only explanation. After feeding the Big Dipper, Shi Shang climbed over the wall and walked around the streets before entering a tea house. Miss, you're here. The waiter of the tea house immediately came forward. We've found some clues. We were just about to contact you when you came. The waiter brought Shi Shang upstairs and handed a large brocade pouch to Shi Shang. The information you wanted is inside. Take your time. The waiter left the room. Call me if you need anything. Sher Shang nodded slightly and waited for him to close the door before opening the brocade pouch. There were a lot of letters inside, and they were all filled with words. There were two things that Sher Shang wanted them to investigate. The first was Dragon Mist City, and the second was Yen Qiu. There was not much information about the Long Mist City. They only knew that the background of the master of this Long Mist City was very big. Inside, not only did they do business that could not be described, there were also many things that were related to the government. For example, buying and selling official positions. Since they dared to do such a thing, it meant that there were people in the royal court, and their status was not low either. Every year, Jade Mist City had two grand peonies. One was at the end of spring, and the other was at the end of autumn. The second thing was about Yen Qiu. Yen Qiu was the son of the current empress. This empress was also a ruthless character with a strong background. Even the emperor had to be wary of her. But in recent years, the descendants of the empress's family were not doing well and were gradually declining. The empress's health seemed to have problems. She worshipped Buddha all day and no longer cared about the affairs of the imperial harem. Yen Qiu was the son of the empress. Although he was not the eldest son, he was the son of the first wife. It was reasonable for him to be crowned as the crown prince. At the very beginning, there were still many people who supported Yen Qiu. But as Yen Qiu caused trouble and offended the ministers of the imperial court, many ministers began to change sides. Not only did Yen Qiu not restrain himself, he offended people even more unscrupulously, angering several ministers in the imperial court to retire and return to their hometowns. Even if Yen Qiu was so absurd, the emperor still doted on him and gave him whatever he wanted. On the surface, it could be seen that the emperor doted on him a lot. But the ministers who had more complicated thoughts all secretly guessed that the emperor was not doting on him, but rather trying to kill him. And Yen Qiu obviously also understood this point. He was pushed to the cusp of the storm. If he did not move forward, there was no way out. Sher Shang put away the things and paid the waiter the rest of the money. He immediately became a pauper again. So damn poor. Sher Shang decided to rob a wave of bandits. Getting rid of evil for the people was everyone's responsibility. Which bandit nest near us has the most money? The waiter looked at Sher Shang, who had left and returned. After a while he said, "Miss, why are you asking this?" Sher Shang said with a straight face, "I'm planning to be a hero." The waiter's mouth twitched. "There's a Fushan stronghold 100 miles away. The bandits there are very fierce. They even dare to rob the army's pay and provisions. We've sent troops several times, but they haven't succeeded. Consider this information a gift to you, Mississippi. I won't charge you for it." This kind of information could be easily found out. If he took money, it would be difficult to do business in the future. "Miss, please don't take it too hard," the waiter reminded her. "I'm short of money." The waiter. Rob bandits if you're short of money? What a bold idea. Under the waiter's gaze, Sher Shang left valiantly and proudly. Bandit nests were usually easy to defend and difficult to attack. Fushan Stronghold was no exception. The mountain roads were guarded by bandits. They would be discovered as soon as they approached. But this was not a problem for Sher Shang. After all, she was going to fight head-on. She killed her way up Fushan. The bandits were indeed very rich, but most of the gold and silver bars were marked. They were not easy to use. Chapter 1476. Sher Shang pocketed his fee and slowly left the county. As soon as he reached the county gate, he met a few idiots who were wearing night clothes in broad daylight. "Hey, heroine, heroine." The man who only showed his eyes waved at Sher Shang. Sher Shang. She really didn't know them. Really? Sher Shang wanted to ignore them, but they followed him. "Heroine, why are you ignoring us?" "I don't want to talk to people wearing night clothes in broad daylight." Sher Shang's face was cold. "Don't you think it's cool? This is a must-have for the Cool Breeze Hall. Isn't it very humane to wear it alternately?" Haha. Cool my ass. Humane my ass. Are you afraid that people won't know that you're not a good person by wearing night clothes in broad daylight? Do you see the frightened eyes of the people around you? Stay away from me. Sher Shang sped up, but these people stuck to him like glue. Heroine, don't walk so fast. It's fate that brought us together. If we can meet here, it means that we're fated. Sher Shang. I don't want to be fated with you. Boss didn't give up. She knew that he was a chatterbox from the way he talked to her during the fight. Heroine, you took on the Cauldron Mountain gang alone. I'm impressed. Sher Shang's face was cold. Why don't you show me? Boss. Well, there are so many people here. It's embarrassing. Boss laughed. Heroine, I know there's a bandit stronghold. Why don't we work together to punish the evil? Punish the evil? This word had nothing to do with her, okay? Aren't you an assassin? Could he be a fake assassin? Boss continued to laugh. It's necessary to earn some side business. After all, there are so many people in the Cool Breeze Hall. No, I'm busy. Heroine, wait for me. The people from the Fresh Breeze Hall had come out to do a quest when they happened to bump into Sher Shang. Perhaps their boss felt that someone who could chat with him while he was fighting was a good person, so he kept chatting with Sher Shang the whole way. Of course, this was what he said himself. As for the truth, no one knew. Heroine, do you know how much your head is worth? The chatterbox boss suddenly changed the topic. Without waiting for Sher Shang to ask, he raised 2 fingers and said, 20,000 taels. Sher Shang raised his eyebrows. Are you here to make money? The chatterbox boss shook his head fiercely. How could I? I'm afraid of death. I can't beat the heroine. He still wanted to live a few more years. Besides, we fought side by side before. How could I betray my comrades? I'm an assassin with professional integrity. I won't do such a thing. Heroine, don't worry. Sher Shang was speechless. What kind of fighting side by side was that? Someone offered to kill me? For an assassin organization like theirs, they had their own channels of information. She hadn't encountered any danger yet, which meant that the news had just been released. That's right. The chatterbox boss narrowed his eyes into crescents. Heroine, do you want to know who wants to kill you? Sher Shang's lips curved. You even know about this? The chatterbox boss patted his chest boldly. We're Cool Breeze Hall, the world's #1 assassin organization. If we don't know this, how can we deserve to be #1 in the world? EXM. How could such a leader be #1 in the world? She wouldn't be surprised if he said that he was #1 in the world. Sher Shang didn't say anything. The chatterbox boss thought that Sher Shang didn't believe him. Heroine, since we've known each other for a long time, I'll tell you this news. But you can't tell anyone that you learned it from me. It'll arouse public anger and affect our business. Sher Shang narrowed his eyes. Business? Yes, it'll affect our reputation. In the future, no one will hire us to kill people. The chatterbox boss immediately explained. Damn it. This man didn't belong to this world. No wonder he was so weird and fashionable. You know that it'll affect your reputation. Why are you telling me this? Nowadays, it was really not easy to rely on one's reputation to kill people. Hey, what's our relationship? The chatterbox boss reached out to pat Sher Shang's shoulder, but he retracted his hand halfway. Isn't friendship used to get in through the back door? Besides, I believe that heroine won't spread the news. I trust you. The main reason was that he believed that heroine would definitely make the other party die. Sher Shang rolled his eyes. Your mission can't be the same as the person who wants to buy my head, right? Pfft. Ahem. Heroine, you can't say that. The person who wants to buy your head is in the capital. Our mission target isn't in the capital. Sher Shang glanced at the chatterbox boss. Who knows if you've taken on other missions? There was no rule that said that one could only take on one mission at a time. The chatterbox boss. Ha ha ha. The chatterbox boss laughed. Seeing that Sher Shang's face was getting colder, he quickly became serious. Heroine, let's work together. How about we split the profits 50-50? Set me up? I wouldn't dare, Heroine. The chatterbox boss shouted. I didn't even get to the point and you suddenly pointed it out. You didn't follow the script. How could you blame him? Sher Shang's mouth twitched. Who's the person who wants to buy my head? Princess Ning Huan. The chatterbox boss quickly followed up. His original words weren't for your head. He just wanted to capture you, dead or alive. In our world, we automatically think that he wants your head. The male lead. He actually wants I's life. F***ck. There's always a retard who wants to harm me. I'm scared. Didn't you assassinate Yen Luan before? Why did you change your target? Don't mention it. That ninth prince can always turn danger into safety. It's like he's using cheats. Now that he's married to Princess Ning Huan, there's no point in assassinating her. That's why I changed my target to Princess Ning Huan. Sher Shang glanced at him. This person must be from the modern world. He wasn't a good person either, although he was a little stupid. Sher Shang suddenly smiled faintly. Didn't you say that you wanted to punish evil? The chatterbox boss looked at Sher Shang's smile. A chill suddenly rushed from the bottom of his feet to his head. He shivered. I was just saying. Heroine, you're not really going to do it, are you? It's everyone's responsibility to punish evil. Sher Shang narrowed his eyes and smiled. The chatterbox boss. F***ck, did I dig a hole for myself? He dared to say this before because he could tell that she wasn't a meddlesome person. The chatterbox boss regretted it so much. However, there was no way out now. He could only follow Sher Shang to punish evil and leave a good name for himself. He was the boss of an assassin organization. If he went to punish evil and eliminate evil, wouldn't he laugh his head off? Why do you always leave a portion? The chatterbox boss couldn't help but ask Sher Shang after destroying the nth bandit nest. Sometimes she would take everything from the bandit nest. Sometimes she wouldn't. The chatterbox boss couldn't figure out Sher Shang's pattern at all. Could it be that she took more when she was in a good mood and less when she was in a bad mood? Chapter 1477. Can you carry so much? Sher Shang rolled his eyes. Why would I carry such a burden? Chatterbox boss. What's with this inexplicable feeling of being dissed? Sher Shang took out a stack of banknotes and gave it to him. Go and post a reward for me. Whoever kills Princess Ning Huan will get 50,000 taels of banknotes. Even if they don't succeed, Princess Ning Huan's personal belongings can be exchanged for 1,000 taels. She worked so hard for half a day just to rob money and post a reward for Princess Ning Huan? Chatterbox boss took a long time to digest. What does Princess Ning Huan's personal belongings mean? For example, clothes, undergarments and so on. In Mu Bai's words, if I can't kill you, I can't disgust you to death. Princess Ning Huan dared to find someone to kill her, but she didn't dare to? Therefore, all the assassin organizations started to spread the news that a pervert liked Princess Ning Huan. Because he couldn't get her, he bought her personal belongings at a high price. Although everyone thought it was perverted, it was easy money. Many people went to steal Princess Ning Huan's undergarments. However, they found that Princess Ning Huan didn't wear undergarments. Even when she changed out of her clothes, they didn't see any undergarments. Somehow, the news of Princess Ning Huan not wearing undergarments spread among the people. Gradually, it spread to the big houses and became the topic of conversation after dinner. As for the assassination, there were people who did it. However, he was the male lead. How could it be so easy to kill him? After being thwarted a few times, they focused on stealing clothes. One piece of clothing was worth 1,000 taels. It was comparable to the head of an ordinary person. Why wouldn't they do it? Sher Shang mentioned personal belongings. He didn't say it had to be undergarments. Therefore, Princess Ning Huan's clothes decreased day by day. The servants of the 9th prince's residence were very nervous. The clothes that were just hung out to dry disappeared in the blink of an eye. Even if the 9th prince's residence sent more people, they couldn't stop the thieves. There were too many thieves. It was impossible to guard against them. This kind of strange news was naturally spread. It was even more popular than when Princess Ning Huan didn't wear undergarments. Princess Ning Huan, the #1 beauty. How many noble ladies and madams were jealous of her. Now, her clothes were stolen en masse. In this era, if it was on a man, people would think it was a bad custom. Now, Princess Ning Huan, the most beautiful woman in the world, these noble ladies would do their best to ruin her reputation. He did not expect that Shi Shang would do such a thing for Ning Huan. Shi Shang did not act according to his plan, and all his plans were in vain. Princess Ning Huan, it seems that you have underestimated this Hong Jin. Yen Luan looked at Ning Huan. She is not as easy to deal with as you think. I have already warned you. I miscalculated this time. Ning Huan ignored Yen Luan's sarcasm. Her eyes flashed. But I have more than this plan. Do you know that Yen Qiu left the capital? Yen Luan was shocked. You want to attack him directly? Ning Huan tapped the table with her fingertips. Her eyes were a little fierce. Most of my people haven't entered the capital yet. He didn't bring many people with him this time. It's a good opportunity. When he dies outside, who knows who did it? Yanqiu's Xianchen is very powerful. Yen Luan frowned. And he has men of sacrifice with him. It's impossible for him to leave the capital without any preparation. You may not succeed. Many people had tried to kill Yen Qiu directly, but how many of them succeeded? Wasn't Yen Qiu still alive and well now? If you don't try, how do you know whether you will succeed or not? Ning Huan ambiguously raised Yen Luan's chin. Your Highness, you are a little timid. You should be bolder. Yen Luan wanted to refute. She had nothing. What could she use to compete with others? But what was there to say? It felt like she was acting pitiful. Yen Luan took a step back. Princess Ning Huan, don't touch me. Ning Huan's hand missed. He carelessly twisted it and took it back. He looked at Yen Luan with a faint smile. Your Highness, don't you understand what Yen Qiu reminded you? Yen Luan frowned. What Yen Qiu reminded her? What he said at the wedding. The emperor doesn't really want to dote on Yen Qiu. Yen Qiu's mother is the empress. The empress's family was so powerful that the emperor was afraid of them. But look at the past few years. Although the empress's family doesn't seem to have any abnormalities, but if you look carefully, the important positions have been replaced by the emperor's own people. He only gave them some empty positions. Ning Huan's voice was a little clear. At first glance, it was hard to distinguish his gender, but it could make people involuntarily be confused by his voice. The emperor promoted Yen Qiu so high in order to confuse those people. Yen Qiu is just a chess piece. Unfortunately, the emperor can't control this chess piece now. Yen Luan didn't show much surprise at Ning Huan's words. Ning Huan looked at her and knew that she probably knew it in her heart. She just didn't want to admit it. She and Yen Qiu were just chess pieces in the emperor's hands. We were born in the emperor's family. We have no choice. If you don't want to be a chess piece, the first thing you have to do is to be ruthless, Your Highness. Ning Huan faintly threw down this sentence and left the room. Heavy rain fell from the dark sky. The sound of horse hooves broke the rain. Like an arrow leaving a bow, they rushed out of the darkness and pierced through the curtain of rain. The person at the front was Yen Qiu. His clothes were drenched and clung tightly to his body, outlining the contours of his body. His hair stuck to his cheeks, making him look a little disheveled. However, at this moment, his entire body was emitting a fierce aura, suppressing that somewhat disheveled appearance. Your Highness, they have caught up. Yen Qiu's eyes darkened, but he didn't say anything. He just increased his speed. The pursuers were getting closer and closer. The sound of the rain became more rapid. Danger was constantly gathering in the curtain of rain. So, there's an ambush. Almost at the same time, Xian Chen's shout pierced through the curtain of rain. Before his voice fell, the first arrow had already arrived. It passed by Yanqiu's side and pierced into the tree trunk in front of him. Then, the second and third arrows came from all directions. It was even denser than the curtain of rain. Yanqiu took out a sword from somewhere and quickly swept away the arrows. His horse carried him through the rain of arrows. Xian Chan and the others brought up the rear. But after rushing out of the rain of arrows, the black-clothed men in front had been waiting for a long time. Yanqiu reined in his horse. The air suddenly became silent. Both sides were in a deadlock for 3 seconds. Then, the black-clothed men attacked at the same time. Seventh Prince, sorry for the offense. The black-clothed men were arrogant, as if they could immediately fly into the sky. But the moment they attacked, their bodies suddenly fell forward and at the same time, they fell to the ground. Yanqiu, there seemed to be something spreading in the surroundings, but he didn't feel any threat to him. In the distance, wails gradually sounded, piercing through the rainy night. It was creepy. Invisible things were constantly pushing forward like waves. Wherever they passed, people were thrown off their horses and blood splattered everywhere. #hashtag today, I want marigold flavored tickets #hashtag vote, little cuties, #. Chapter 1478. In the curtain of rain, a figure was gradually approaching. The wind whistled, and the curtain of rain formed a line, like bullets hitting the surrounding leaves, making swooshing sounds. Yanqiu pursed his lips into a line and stared at the approaching figure. Rainwater flowed down from his forehead and his vision blurred. At this moment, his heart seemed to have stopped beating. His body stiffened and he didn't dare to move. It was as if everything would disappear if he moved. "Heroine, heroine, wait for us." The loud shout broke the silence. Yanqiu suddenly jumped off the horse and walked towards the figure. He pulled the figure into his arms without any explanation. Although he was nervous, his tone was unfriendly. "What are you doing here? Why didn't you stay in the mansion?" Shishang touched his back. "If I didn't come, you would have died here." Yanqiu was silent for a moment and tightened his arms. "I won't die so easily. Heroine, heroine, heroine." "Ah, I didn't see anything." The chatterbox boss ran closer and saw the two shamelessly hugging each other. He covered his eyes and turned around. Yanqiu let go of Shishang and his eyes fell on the chatterbox boss. "Master of Qingfeng Hall, why are you with him?" "Seventh Prince, don't misunderstand. Heroine and I are just friends." "Friends." The chatterbox boss turned around and opened his fingers. When he saw the two separated, he put down his hands. Yanqiu grabbed Shishang's wrist. "Don't associate with these people of unknown origins." The chatterbox boss. How was he of unknown origins? Didn't he call out his name just now? Shishang didn't answer and changed the topic. "The people who are chasing after you are sent by Princess Ning Huan. How do you want to deal with them?" "Hey, Seventh Prince, make it clear. How am I of unknown origins?" The chatterbox boss stomped his feet. "How do you know they are sent by Princess Ning Huan?" Shishang smiled like a charlatan. "I calculated with my fingers." Of course, she didn't calculate with her fingers. She originally planned to return to the capital. She happened to meet these killers on the way and said a few words. That was why she followed them here. "Hey, are you listening to me?" The chatterbox boss continued to stomp his feet. Yanqiu suddenly raised her hand and patted her head. "Let's go back first. I have something to tell you." "Sure." Shenzhen had already brought Yanqiu's horse over. He carried Shishang and mounted the horse. Ignoring his chatterbox boss, he whipped the horse and galloped past him. "Heroine, damn it, you're just going to leave me behind like this?" Didn't we agree on something? Come to Beijing and find me. Shishang's voice came through the rain. Yan Qiu tightened her grip on the Shishang and pulled it closer to her chest. Why did she look for you? Serious business. I told him that I was going to kill Princess Ning Huan. Shishang moved a little uncomfortably. Do you want to strangle I? Let go. Yan Qiu loosened her grip, but she bit down on her neck. Her warm breath dispelled the cold air on her body. It was a little painful and itchy at the same time. F***ck, let go. Shishang reached out to push him away. What if something went wrong after taking a bite out of her body? I didn't bite it, Yan Qiu said in a low voice. Shishang turned her head and took a look. She didn't smell any blood. She tightened her collar and gritted her teeth. You're not allowed to bite it. Yan Qiu seemed to be a little wronged. However, the night was so dark that Shishang didn't see it clearly. Yan Qiu held Shishang in his arms and blocked most of the rain for her. It was the first time in his life that he cared so much about someone. Her little smile that harbored evil intentions, her angry roar, and her teeth clenched when she couldn't do anything to him. Everything about her seemed to have been remembered by him unwittingly. After returning to the mansion, Yan Qiu asked Shishang to change her clothes first. She was afraid that Shishang would catch a cold. Then she asked the servants to boil some ginger soup. After watching Shishang drink it, they sat down calmly. Yan Qiu pinched Shishang's wrist and rubbed it gently. He looked at her gently. The venomous insect in your body is indeed the devil worm. I'm not wrong. The wound can't heal because the venomous insect in your body is the king of venomous insects. Yan Qiu saw that Shishang didn't have much reaction. He continued, the way to raise the king of venomous insects is different from that of ordinary venomous insects. The venomous insects must be nourished with all kinds of treasures. They can't be injured, otherwise the wound can't heal. After a long time, the king of venomous insects will run away from the wound. That's not right. Hong Jin was also injured before. Why didn't this happen? The original host couldn't avoid being injured no matter when she was training or on a mission. But why was she fine before? The venomous insect king will listen to the order of the person who successfully raises it. Therefore, the venomous insects of the southern venomous insect sect can only raise the king of venomous insects from the sect. I'm afraid your status is not low. When the southern venomous insect sect was destroyed, your elders may have put the venomous insect king in your body into a deep sleep in order not to let others know that you're different. So I may have unintentionally awakened the venomous insect king. Shishang raised his eyebrows. Maybe the venomous insect king sensed that its host was dead, so it woke up. Unfortunately, she came before it could run away. Yan Qiu nodded. Now, there's a way to heal your wound. Can't you get the venomous insect king out? Shishang frowned. It was a little uncomfortable to have the venomous insect king in her body. Yan Qiu frowned. If the venomous insect king leaves your body, you will be very weak. It will take away most of your strength. Also, I don't know how to get it out. Shishang wanted to get the venomous insect king out, but Yan Qiu didn't know how to do it. She didn't know how to do it either. She could only listen to Yan Qiu and let the wound heal first. Then, she would find a way to get the venomous insect king out. It wasn't difficult to heal the wound. She just had to pour blood on the wound. Shishang, sure enough, blood types didn't matter in ancient times. Can't you use someone else's blood? Shishang frowned and asked when he saw that Yan Qiu wanted to bleed. Yan Qiu rolled up her sleeves and said, You want to use someone else's blood? Her tone was as if she would kill Shishang immediately if he dared to say that she wanted to use someone else's blood. I'm afraid that you'll be in pain. Yan Qiu paused. Am I a man if I can't even tolerate this little pain for you? He couldn't tolerate her being stained with someone else's blood, let alone the blood that flowed out of her body. Yan Qiu poured the blood into a porcelain bowl. She only stopped after half of the bowl was filled. Shi Shang took the gauze and bandaged the wound. After the wound was bandaged, Yan Qiu asked Shi Shang to lie on his stomach on the bed. He carefully soaked the blood into the wound. The blood quickly seeped into the wound like a sponge. All the blood disappeared in an instant. Shi Shang felt a little itchy and instinctively wanted to scratch it. Yan Qiu grabbed his hand. "Be good. Just bear with it." Shi Shang scratched his palm with an ugly expression. It was so itchy. It felt as if countless ants were crawling on the wound and biting it. Chapter 1479. The itch lasted for a while before it got better. Fortunately, there was no other reaction. Yan Qiu put down the porcelain bowl that was covered with a layer of red liquid. She wrung the liquid dry and wiped the area around Shi Shang's wound. She lifted the quilt and covered him. "Sleep in my room tonight. I'll go to the study." Shi Shang's face, which was buried in the quilt, suddenly lifted up. He said weakly, "You're not sleeping with me?" Yan Qiu stiffened and said dryly, "Men and women shouldn't touch each other. We haven't married yet." "I don't mind." It didn't matter whether they were married or not. It was fine as long as it was him. I feel uncomfortable." Shi Shang interrupted Yan Qiu. "What if there are some side effects?" Yan Qiu was speechless. After a while, she said, Then I'll accompany you by the bed. You can sleep." Shi Shang glanced at her, turned his head and buried it in the quilt. Yan Qiu said that she would accompany him by the bed. She really sat by the bed until dawn. It was impossible to heal the wound in one go. He had to use this method for 7 consecutive days. There was a lot of blood in the human body. However, she couldn't bear to let it out every day. Yan Qiu's face began to turn pale. "Your Highness, have a bowl of ginseng soup." Xian Chen put the ginseng soup in front of Yan Qiu. "There are 2 more days. You can't go on like this. Why don't you drink mine?" Yan Qiu shook her head. "Is there any movement from Ning Huan?" "Nothing, but the palace sent someone to send an order. They want you to accompany them for the autumn hunt." Xian Chen paused. "Your Highness, I don't recommend you to go. I'm afraid the Emperor wants to use this opportunity to get rid of you." Yan Qiu drank the soup in one gulp. Her eyes flashed fiercely. "Get rid of me? It's not that easy. Even if I die, I'll drag someone down with me." "Then will you bring Hong Jin?" The fierceness in Yan Qiu's eyes was replaced by gentleness. "Even if I don't bring her, she will go by herself. If he died, how could she live? She had to die with him." Xian Chen opened his mouth and stopped. "What's the matter? What do you want to say?" Since Yan Qiu asked, Xian Chen didn't hide it. He said directly, "Your Highness, is it worth it for her? Her identity is still a little unclear." "It's not about whether it's worth it." Yan Qiu lowered her eyes. "When I did these things, I didn't hesitate at all. Since it was my instinct, I didn't have to restrain myself. Even if in the end, I will accept it." Upon receiving the answer, not only did Xianchen not heave a sigh of relief, he even grew more nervous. Why did His Highness seem to have become a completely different person? 7 days later, Shi Shang's wound was healed, leaving only a pale pink scar on his back, which still looked hideous. Shi Shang put on her clothes piece by piece. Xian Chen was waiting outside. When he saw her come out, a trace of sadness flashed past his eyes. He bowed slightly. His Highness is in the West Court. Now that His Highness liked her, she was half his master. "Has anyone been looking for me these days?" The hall master of the Cool Breeze Hall came, but he was chased out by His Highness. Xianchen said expressionlessly, "Hong Jin, don't disappoint His Highness." Since His Highness had chosen her, his only hope now was that this woman was not here to deceive His Highness. Shi Shang pursed his lips and said confidently, "Of course I won't disappoint him." "Let's hope so." Xianchen threw down these words and walked in another direction. It was obvious that he did not want to see her. Shi Shang found Yen Qiu in the pavilion of the West Court. He had finished writing the words that he had not finished the last time and laid them out in front of him. Kill Yen Duotian. He was so engrossed in the words that he did not even notice Shi Shang coming over. You don't even know if you are going to be killed. Can't you be a little more vigilant? Shi Shang walked over to him. I know it's you, Yen Qiu said indifferently. Shi Shang was instantly amused. He pulled Yen Qiu's sleeve and leaned over. Yen Qiu dodged, but his hand held onto Shi Shang's waist. Stop fooling around. Shi Shang pursed his lips. He leaned against Shi Shang's chest and looked at the words on the table. What's wrong? Do you want to rebel? Yen Qiu reached out to cover the paper. He lowered his voice and said, I'm afraid that if I lose, I won't even be able to protect you. Be more confident. If you want to rebel, you have to show the spirit of rebellion. If you are already worried about losing, how can you win? Shi Shang patted him on the shoulder. If you show the spirit of rebellion, you will have won half the battle. I have too much to lose. Yen Qiu hugged Shi Shang and sat her down. He let her hold the brush while he held her hand to write. When I was young, I thought I was the luckiest prince to have a mother and father who loved me dearly. Before I was 10, I was no different from other princes. I was even more arrogant and unscrupulous because I knew that my father would support me. That was my 10th birthday. Yen Qiu paused and kissed Shi Shang on the cheek, as if seeking a sense of security. Many people came to celebrate my birthday. It was a spectacular scene. But I didn't see my father, so I sneaked away from the banquet and went to look for him. I didn't hear what my father said. But when he saw me, I was suddenly enlightened by the hatred in his eyes. Although he quickly stopped looking at me and didn't show it again, I couldn't forget it. The people around me were all arranged by my father. For a long time, I felt that they were watching me. The older I grew, the clearer I saw things. My father seemed to love me, but it was just a show. He put me on the cusp of the storm. If I couldn't stand firm, I would be swallowed up. I lost my freedom and self. I became his chess piece. For a long time, I couldn't understand how a person could be so heartless when they wanted to be ruthless. But now I understand. Yen Qiu finished the last stroke. So, I don't want to lose you again. On the paper, it was written in black and white. The imperial family is heartless. Shi Shang moved his hand and the calligraphy appeared at the bottom like a dog's scrawl. If the heavens don't tolerate you, then go against the heavens. After a while, Yen Qiu pursed his lips and smiled. You need to practice your handwriting more. She didn't know how to embroider. Her handwriting was like a dog's scrawl. She probably didn't know how to play the zither or compose poems. But she was good at murder and arson. The words aren't important. Look at the content. Shi Shang pointed at the blank space on the paper. Her calligraphy looked like a ghost. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to understand the calligraphy of someone who knew how to draw talismans. Shameless boasting. Although he said that, his tone was full of affection. I'm going to do something to that chatterbox. Are you coming? Shi Shang turned around and put his arms around Yen Qiu's neck. He looked up at her slightly. Chatterbox. Who was it? The one from Qing Feng Hall. Yen Qiu. That gigolo? No, Little Black Face? What did Little Black Face have that was worth her attention? Asterisk Little Black Face. WTF, you're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.